type shit. It really do be like that sometimes, don't it? It really absolutely do be like that sometimes. Speakers, why are we still getting output from here? Y'all can hear this, right? You can hear the sound effects, good. Oh, there we go. Now I'm hearing it. Oh, now it's perfect. Oh, now it's absolutely gorgeous. All right, well, what up, everybody? Hope you guys are good. What's going on? Don't it? Type shit. Type shit indeed. Well, we're back. I'm tired. I've been sleeping poorly because of stress. I've been yeah, you love to see it. Hope you guys are doing well. Can somebody tell me, by the way, I can't even say it anymore without in the Discord, if you're not a member of my Discord, go ahead and join. The link is in the chat. I recently pruned my Discord. There's a feature that you can like remove inactive people. I didn't remove inactive people. I just removed people who hadn't been assigned a role, which usually is a sign that they're a bot, because when you join the Discord, you have to click, like, you have to engage with like a button, like you have to press a green checkmark emoji in order to get access to the rest of the channels in the Discord. Otherwise, it will just look like an empty Discord server. So I just pruned the people with no role, but I saw some names in that list that I was like, hold on, isn't this a goon? So if you want to rejoin the Discord, go check and see if you've accidentally been kicked, because there was some of these names. I mean, some of these names I was like, no, this is definitely a real person. Like, I know they don't want to get kicked. So apologies if you got kicked from the Discord. Also, yeah, thank you whoever checked. I ping out everybody in the Discord. I send like an @everyone ping when I go live, if I remember, so that people get notified. It looks like you guys did. Alex, thank you. Elena, thank you for engaging with it in the Discord so that I know it was seen. We love to see that. Today, as the title suggests and the thumbnail, I'm giving it another go. As of right now, I am of the opinion, and this is just my opinion, I am of the opinion that Alex Hormozi is one of these people who, this is a guy who is one of these people who makes money primarily by telling people that he can make them money, or that he can show them how to make money, more so than the thing that he actually claims is making him money. I think the teaching people how to make money and be rich is how he makes money. And I think that for a couple of reasons. Number one. The first reason I think that is because when you're a rich person, and I say this as somebody who's not rich, but I can only imagine that really rich people don't want to just go out giving away their secrets for free, spending time making content, and just to sell a $20 book, when if you're supposedly dealing with millions and tens of millions and millions and billions of dollars, right? Where's the
billions and billions?
Little Marco.
So that doesn't make sense to me, number one. And also, there's sort of something that I talk about in MLMs. Last year I did this video, which it went gangbusters, as the kids say these days. I did this video on my channel that did really good. It got a lot of views, which I was kind of surprised by. I didn't know if it would do good or not good, but it did good. And it was called "Every Influencer is Lying to You." It came out basically almost exactly a year ago. Let me see if I can pull it up here on the screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. But in that video, I talk about this thing that I call the pyramid paradox, where these people who are in multi-level marketing schemes, they love to tell you about, oh, I grew up on the dirt floor in Mexico, and now I have this, and now I have that. And they do this, basically they're lying about either their rags to riches story or their actual success financially, or both. And they do this with such a repetition and ferocity that it actually ends up becoming true, that they actually end up, in fact, making the money that they first were lying about. So now the lie has become true because they stuck to the lie long enough. So now it's like, yeah, okay, he was lying, but now it's true, even if it was built on a lie. I think this applies to basically anybody that's actually made significant amounts of money selling courses or about selling a product about making money. What up, by the way, to Legend Gaming, member in the chat for 36 months, dude. I'm pretty sure that's as long as I've had YouTube memberships active. That's 3 years exactly. Wow, Legend Gaming. Legend Game. Oh, wow, Alexis gifting memberships now. Talk to me nice. Talk to me nice. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, Legend Gaming, and Legend Gaming has been supporting even longer than that. You know, Legend Gaming was he donated on my first ever live stream back in, I think, August of 2019. So he's been locked in, rocking for a minute. Shout out to Legend Gaming. Legend Gaming, we're gonna be calling on you for that goon tax soon when I drop this video and launch this fucking GoFundMe to try to fight this ridiculous lawsuit that I have that's trying to destroy me, and I'm not being hyperbolic when I say this, financially murder me. You know, one thing that I always knew was a risk with lawsuits was that you can get sued and they can try to come after you for the money you have. And it's not really a worry if you don't have any money. This is sort of another layer of complexity, this new situation I'm dealing with, where it's not about coming after the money I have. It's about coming after the money that I would get, which people always ask me, can they even do this? Can they even do that? Can they even do that when it comes to lawsuits? I don't fucking know, but one thing I've learned is, yes, they can, and yes, they will. If they have the money, I don't care how far-fetched or ridiculous it seems or how far-reaching and overreaching the legal maneuvering seem, they can do anything. Yes, they can. So, now, you saw I lost my Patreon. I didn't delete my Patreon. I lost my Patreon. It was disabled through no doing of my own because of this one lawsuit. Now they're trying to come after my YouTube earnings. And you say, who? Well, this is a situation where I actually can talk about it. I could name who it is. And I think I've even talked about it before. But I've just been holding that trump card in my back pocket about going full nuclear PR campaign, Coffeezilla, Hassan, Penguin Zero, Baller Busters, calling in every favor, every person that I know, every connection I know to drum up as much public awareness about it as possible. I've been holding that in my back pocket because if there's some more civil resolution that can be achieved without having to literally burn the whole fucking world down, then I will be happy to pursue that. But it's murder, it's financial murder that is being attempted. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that. So yeah, thank you, Legend Gaming. Alex FPV in the chat says, shock, my dog, I can't stop. Alex was in the chat last time saying that he uses a shock collar on his dog and actually thinks it's a defensible practice. I would love to get Alex on a call later, perhaps during this stream, to explain, because obviously people don't think that's a good thing. What up? Why not review? Glad you're here. Miss Casual Vlogger, good to see you. Monsoon the Goon. Look at me, so generous, shouting out the people who are not even mods or members. Alexis Artemis, Specs. Hi, Specs. DJ BK. Appreciate you. Appreciate all y'all. DTI. You can't say by the way anymore. And you can't say by the way normal anymore. I can't say China normal anymore. Yeah. China. It comes from China. You look at what they're doing. It's such a disgrace, frankly, but that's okay, right? The Trump Mamdani thing was crazy. Maybe we'll watch that later too. Bag wars started off right. Started off.
619 dropped a bag 27 Canadian dollars. 0.99.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
Bag wars.
Brandon, you're a fucking legend. I went and got a bag of protein powder, 2 pounds worth, and I bought it in bulk. I'm not buying this ghost. You only get 10 scoops and it's $80. I bought bulk protein powder, 2 pounds of it, about $50. Okay, $50. And then I bought eggs, some cheese, dish soap, toilet paper, and chicken breast. I think 6 or 7, chicken breasts, boneless chicken, skinless breast from Save On Foods. It was like $27. All of that combined, the 2 pounds of protein powder, eggs, cheese, chicken, dish soap, toilet paper, $100.
What you were about to witness is real. The participants are not actors.
So yeah, I mean, what the fuck, you know? So thank you, Alexis and Brandon C, helping to offset that. We ain't even talked about the lawyer yet. We ain't even talked about the lawyers. You want to talk about the lawyers? How much are they charging?
Money.
Oh, a lawyer. Oh, I love it. I love.
Gave him the money. Boom.
Hey, Marco, don't do this.
Oh, you want the lawyer? Oh, the retainer? How much was that? Thousands and 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 thousands of dollars? You know, my niece recently, she's a child, okay? She recently had one of those moments that probably all of us have had, where right as she was getting ready for bed, she freaked out because she remembered it was last Sunday. I'm literally talking like Patrick with David. So my niece, we're looking at, it's last Sunday. She's about to go to bed. Let me organize my thoughts so that I can actually fucking have a cohesive sentence. It was a Sunday night. My niece was getting ready for bed, and she freaked out because she realized that the next day she had a test at school, and she forgot about this social studies test, right? That's like history for those of y'all in the US. And I just chuckled when I heard about this because I thought to myself, you know, if she only knew how much this doesn't matter in the grand scheme of her life, and she was, you know, she was very upset. And I just thought it's so funny because I've been there before, that panic, that existential dread of, oh my God, I forgot to study. And it's like, it doesn't matter. You know now it doesn't matter. But sometimes I try to think about my current predicaments that I'm dealing with. And I try to think, am I going to look at this when I'm 80 years old as it doesn't matter? Like the same way that I felt stress about forgetting to study for a test when I was a kid. Am I going to think this? Am I going to think that about this? Oh my God, that scared the shit out of me.
Brandon C. just tithed 100 Canadian dollars to the cult. 50-cent time.
Type shit. Type shit. Brandon C. Thank you, man. Seriously. Brandon, you are a legend. Thank you, bro.
It's all about residual income.
It so is all about residual income. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Thank you so much, bro. You're a fucking legend. And that was a Streamlabs one, too. That was on Streamlabs. Brandon, listen. Keep playing with Brandon C. You play with Brandon C, you play with me. That's what I say. Keep playing with Brandon C and see. Yeah, Brandon, see what happened to you when you keep fucking playing around. Thank you, Brandon C. You are a legend. Absolutely helping to keep this going. Yeah. So yeah, I do wonder if one day, and I hope I do, I hope I'll look back one day and think nothing of the problems I deal with now. And I know it could be worse, you know. I'm sure there's people who have been dealing with legal issues, financial issues, and they also have kids that they're responsible for, and they have a wife who's nagging them, and they have this and that and that. So I try to be grateful every day and think about the things that I do have and the opportunities that I have to fight, you know, like I'm sure there are people who have been targeted with lawfare. I mean, I was this person a couple of years ago when I didn't have the audience size I have now. I was sued the first time. I think I had like 30,000 subscribers. Now I've got what, 4 times that? So, or almost 4 times that. So yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not a YouTuber. For somebody who uploads as much as I do on YouTube, I really am not a YouTuber. And what I mean by that is like, I think about from 2021, I think if I had 30,000 then, I've roughly 4x'd my YouTube platform in 4 years. So it's 4 times bigger than it was 4 years ago, however that math works out. But I'm still kind of like a small channel, I feel, you know? And you can have 20,000 subscribers and have a channel that's hot and be like getting more views than channels with 100,000. It's really not about the subscribers anymore, to be honest. But anyways, my point is just that I definitely have more people who support me now, and more, I guess, I don't know, for some reason, as I've gotten bigger, my optimism that people will support for something like a big lawsuit or a, GoFundMe campaign or something like that is smaller for some reason. I don't know why I think that. Maybe I think that I'm not perceived as an underdog at a certain point, but I absolutely most definitely am in this situation. So I don't know. What do you think when you think of 10x? I need a 10x it. Yeah, I've only 4x'd it. I need a 10x it. But I've gone through a lot of challenges. I'm not trying to just like make this a therapy session, but there's a point to all this. I've it's so funny. Tell me if any of you relate to this, okay? Think about like the life you lived 10 years ago. What was your daily routine like? Who your girlfriend or boyfriend was, where you lived, etc. It's probably not the same 10 years later. If it is, if all those things are the same, you have the same job, you live in the same place, you're married to the same person, that's like a incredulous level of stability, of long-term stability, My life has been the opposite of that. And I feel like, I'm not even 30 yet, but in less than 30 years, I've lived like many times over, multiple different people's lives. Like the amount of things I've done, the amount of different jobs and roles that I've worked, the amount of people who know me from one thing versus another thing, it's just wild. And there's been no stability in my life for going on 3 years. I think since 2023, there's been no stability in my life. Since the second half of 2023, almost exactly starting at the halfway point, I haven't lived in one place for more than a few months. I haven't had any sense of stability really, except for like close family members. But it just keeps changing. And I wish I honestly just wish for some peace. Like, when I didn't have lawsuits, I know I'm sure I was stressed about something else almost equally, but not quite as much. So I know it's relative, people even people who aren't being sued have things that are keeping them up at night regardless. But yeah, anyways, Dickens Cider says, is Alex Persian? Could he be related to PBD? Related to the Shah? I'm looking at a guy like Alex Hormozi, okay? People kept, by the way, if you have this, send me it. People keep talking about Patrick Bet-David's emotions chart or like graph. Apparently, this is a prop that he brings out on his show often. I have no idea what this is. If somebody can send me a picture of this, I'd greatly appreciate it. Post it in the Discord, better yet. Brandon C., thank you. Chef Raff getting a membership gifted from Alexis Artemis Green Howard. We love to see it. Watch the Mamdani thing. I've only heard about it. It's really weird. Trump's like, look at this guy, such a great guy. We had a meeting. It was a great meeting, such a big meeting. You look at the meetings. When Biden was in charge, they didn't have meetings anymore. Yeah, the Mamdani, it was really weird. It's like, it almost makes me think that the acting just gets better, but the politicians stay the same. Because I remember I thought Pierre Poilievre, I'm going to get so fucking deleted for sharing this video, but whatever. Pierre Poilievre, this video, do y'all know? I thought Pierre Poilievre was like based and cool, and then I saw this fucking clip where he's speaking at like you see the Israeli flag behind him?
So as you can imagine, it's a pretty big honor for a simple guy from the prairies to stand before you today.
So when I saw Mamdani with Trump, and they're like, I mean, it was more from Trump to Mamdani, weirdly, where Trump is like smiling and touching him and like seems to be the one. It almost felt like Mamdani was the president. But anyways, even like Trump is covering for him. Like one of the reporters is like, you said you thought Donald Trump was a fascist. Do you still think that? And he's standing right there. And Mamdani starts to go into some political answer. And Trump's like, it's okay. Just say yes. Like, what? Okay. Heard Mamdani was asked if he still thought Trump. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. So you're literally typing what I was just saying. Yeah. Trump's like, it's okay. Just say yes. And gives him a little pat on the arm. And Mamdani's like, yes. But we're friends? You know, it's sort of like the same thing in court, you know, in Canadian civil court. Canada's part of the British Commonwealth, right? So we have common law. This goes back to the days of dukes and lords, and you know, there was no internet, so it was sort of based on precedent where like if a judge in this part of the Commonwealth ruled this, then it, you know, we're using that to inform our decision about how we apply the law to a similar circumstance in this part of the Commonwealth. So because of that, the language has some of this, like, obviously it has legalese and Latin, but it also has this element of like the monarchy and, you know, something you would see in like the UK. Specifically, I'm referring to when lawyers, you know, in movies, you always see them say Your Honor to the judge. I remember a few years ago, the first time I got sued and I was in court for the first like hearing ever. And I heard my lawyer talk to the judge and he said, my lord. And I was like, oh, it's like that. My lord is fucking crazy. And then how they also say like, this is more about the Trump Mamdani thing. How in court, your lawyer will refer to the other lawyer as my friend. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. And I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. I don't have an alternative for what they should say. I mean, I guess they could just say opposing counsel, but it's politics, of course. It's all politics, you know. So, yeah, my friend. Did you see what they were fucking writing about me? You know, that's like part of what I want to say. I know my lawyer's a great person, but sometimes like my inner voice is like when I see my lawyer be like, yeah, my friends have said this and that. I'm like, bruh, did you read what they wrote about me? What they said about me? How they was lying on me? How they was trying to destroy me? Take all this money and fucking get me deleted and unpersoned? 1984 shit? My friend. Anyways. Appreciate you, Dickens Cider. Says, I hope you get huge success. You are a genuine talent and clearly an ethical person. Thank you. School does. I said nagging, not negging. My niece forgot about a test. No problem. I took her to Bally's. She was upset, right? So I'm like, okay, Casa D'Angelo, Michael Jordan. Benjamin says, I believe you have grassroots power. I think so, man. Like, let's keep it 100, right? You see Brandon C., one guy tossing out $127 or whatever it was, $130 on this stream like a boss. You know, you only need to find the few Brandon C's out there in the world to actually make a massive difference. It's really remarkable. I have 113,700 subscribers. What's 10% of that? You know, 13,000 people. 13,000 people contributing even something small like $5 is, let me do some quick maths. 13,000 times 5, bomba clot, it's $65,000. 65,000 bomba pussy ras clap, blood clot dollar. Crazy. Spec says, do you think a lot of people get married just to have stability? Interesting question. I mean, I think it's part of the whole stability apparatus that it's part of big stability is selling you that idea. It's propaganda by big stability to get married. No, but I get what you mean. I think when it comes to marriage, it's more so about honestly, this like, first of all, why did your name change from Specs to Specs 5006? Weird. But I think actually getting married, this is not what this thing is about, but I think most people get into relationships, period, because they haven't figured themselves out yet. You know, like, I don't have faith in my ability. Like, I really don't think I'm going to be the same person in 20 years. Don't even get me started talking about this, because then I'll start talking about my lost loves and old flames of the past, and how I'm destined to never fall in love, and da 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 da. Okay, let's look at this. I'm looking at it. I'm thinking about it. Trump was like the dad in Step Brothers during that dinner. My lord, was he wearing a fedora? Yeah, that's so funny. Never heard my lord, only your worship. Your worship is crazy too. Your worship for a justice of the peace. Yeah, my lord was crazy. And your honor for criminal superior court. Yeah, I guess it's different. Dick Insider. Thank you. All right, let's check this out. Today, I want to put it to the test. Is Alex Hormozi just yapping? This is a video from 2 years ago. Chris. In real, what's his, in real, I'm real money, I'm doing my part. Oh, in real money, I'm doing my part. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Thank you. Literally, thank you so much. Thank you. You know, I actually hope these motherfuckers don't relent on me. A small part of me actually hopes. I actually hope I get to press the red button and drop a video and do a whole campaign of live streams going over documents and videos and Instagram posts about these people who are suing me, just so that if they do fucking pursue me to the ends of the earth and they do take me down and they do bury me, I'm bringing everybody with me. I'm dragging us all to hell. What, am I going to get sued for defamation while I'm being sued for defamation? Can I get pregnant while I'm pregnant? You know? No, I'm just joking. You know, not saying I'm trying out to defame anyone. I don't think I've ever defamed anyone. I think everything that I've ever said has been true or substantively true or a matter of public interest or fair comment or any of the other responsible communication or any of the other defenses that apply. You know. All right. Yes, it's cocaine. All right, let's continue on. This video came out 2 years ago. 2 years ago, November 8th, 2023, and it's called, If I Wanted to Become a Millionaire in 2024, This Is What I'd Do, Full Blueprint. I'm going to give it a chance. As I said, I think Alex Hormozi is somebody who is making money from selling books, and this is essentially, like, his YouTube content and social media content is essentially an advertisement for his books, where he'll go deeper into the information. Do I really think that in this hour and 3-minute video, he's going to be giving away gems that are paywalled behind his paid book content? If that was the case, why would I buy the book if I can just watch the video? You know, how many pages is the book if we were to convert it to audiobook? Even if it's a 10-hour audiobook, you're giving me 1 hour of that information in this video? I highly doubt that. You're just giving away. Anyways, I think it's a funnel, an advertisement for his book sales and for his workshops. Anonymous, 10% giving $5. I love it.
I took a full load. I got to get the bag.
Marco, crave some more Marco.
Do you like me?
Thank you so much. This is what I'm talking about. By the way, how many people are watching this?
Thumbs up the ting.
Are we doing our part as goons, even the ones who aren't dropping the bag? Are we thumbs upping the ting? Are we clicking like on the stream to support? Are we telling our grandma? Are we sitting down with our significant other and watching? 73 people and only 34 likes. Got it. Sam here says marriage is a scam. Scam here, am I right? Just sent my goon tax through PayPal, says Snoopy Doo. Snoopy Dooby Doo, where are you? I've got to get $5. Snoopy Dooby Doo, where are you? We've got to pay that goon tax. So true. So true. Do a whole stream as Patrick Bet David talking about my lawsuit and like just giving you nothing. going over the documents. Rob, can you pull up the document? It's always Marco. This is a guy, he's getting sued, right? Okay, now I don't like lawsuits, but when you look at lawsuits, you got to think about who is the lawyers that's making the most money off of this. So I'm looking at Donald Trump. His lawyer was Roy Cohn. They did the movie about it called The Apprentice. You get the idea. Zinfandel, what up? Okay, let's check it. Here we go, y'all. Why didn't it fucking... I can't believe you've done this. MacBook Pro. Why? It's not very pro of you, is it? Google Chrome. Alex Hormozi, this is the video. All right, let's watch.
This is the blueprint to becoming a millionaire, and I'm going to walk you through the levels to becoming one. Level 1 is the fundamentals of wealth creation, and we're going to start with, what even is a millionaire?
I don't know. Alex. Is it somebody with $1 million? Like, who is this for? You know, the Mr. Beast style, like, intro with the colors and the blocks breaking. All right, let's go.
Someone whose net worth, excluding their primary residence, is in excess of $1 million. Assets minus liabilities. For example, let's say you own a $1 million house and you owe $500,000 on it. If you had nothing else saved up in your bank account, which I would hope that you did, but let's just say you had nothing else saved up in your bank account, then your net worth would be $500K. In this instance, you would not be a millionaire, right? Now let's call this a $1 million house and you owed nothing on it, your net worth would be $1 million. Now, there's a difference between having a liquid net worth versus a net worth. A liquid net worth is assets that you can trade in and out of. So if I had $1 million in cash in my bank account versus owning assets that were worth $1 million, those are different things. And you might be wondering, how does Alex have any authority to speak on the subject? I'll tell you why. I became a millionaire in my early 20s. I had my first cash million in my bank account when I was 27, and I crossed $100 million in net worth by age 31. So I became a millionaire 100 times in a row. So I can tell you how to do it at least once. And I've helped over 100 other people create $1 million plus net worths over my career. And those are just the ones that I know about, let alone all the people in our community have done a lot better than that. And so we go to step 2 in this little journey of ours, which is equity. Because there's 2 ways that you can become a millionaire. You can earn your way there, or you can own your way there. And the faster way is to own your way there. And that's what I'm gonna walk you through. So I'm gonna walk you through both examples of earning your way there, which is how I first thought it was, versus owning.
LOL DTI. Jordan Peterson-esque. What is a millionaire? You know, it's like, what is it? What is that? You know, it's like, are you looking at millions of things together? Well, God, man, is it really millions? Because you analyze the postmodern nature of any living thing, and you realize that it's made up of actually billions and billions of molecules. So, you know, it's like, there's not million of anything. What do you mean by million?
So if I want to earn my way to $1 million, then I'm going to need to make $2 million over X period of time, and then divide that by 2 because of taxes.
If you guys need pen and paper to write this down, the Write This Down notebook from alwaysmarcomerch.com is available. I don't have mine with me because actually my copy I gave away as a gift to a goon that I met in real life because I'm just that's just who I am. So I'll have to order another one soon, but it's there. It's there.
To get to my $1 million. Let's say I'm making $200,000 a year, and I made $200,000 a year for a decade. That's assuming that you saved 100% of your income. You'd be able to earn your way to $1 million in liquid net worth. On the other hand, you can own your way, meaning that you own assets, either, which could be businesses or real estate, which are probably the 2 most common assets that people own that are trying to invest. When I say invest, when you are an entrepreneur, you are investing, you're just heavily indexed on one stock, which is your own. Let's say that I create a business that gets to $250,000 per year. In some instances, I might be able to sell this company if it was truly automated and had a team of people that worked without me needing it. I could sell this at probably a 4 times multiple. And this is, again, that would be a very good multiple for a business that is doing that kind of profit, because this is actually a small amount of profit for when we're talking business sales, but that would get us to a $1 million net worth. All right, because we own 100% of this business that makes $250,000 a year in profit without us working at all, and we could sell that for $1 million. And so you can see the difference here. It's like, okay, well, one of these takes 10 years, This one is just how long does it take me to automate the creation of $250,000 a year. And so what's interesting here is that almost the actual income between the two is almost identical. But as soon as you achieve it, you almost already have the net worth, because here time is working against you because you have taxes and you have your living expenses that are cutting out of this every single year. Whereas here, you get the multiplier without your living expenses, with time being an ally for you, which takes us to the next step on our journey. Don't diversify. Diversification is for weenies. Diversification, to quote Uncle Warren, is a hedge against ignorance. You only diversify if you don't know what you're doing. The more you know, the less risky it is. I actually am approaching diversification.
You only diversify if you don't thumbs up the ting, because there's 100 people watching, but only half of you have clicked like on the stream, so do it.
Thumbs up the team.
From a focus perspective, which is, what's the one thing that you're going to invest your
Alex Haramzi. So funny.
most valuable resource? Because when you're early on, you don't have that much money. So your most valuable resource isn't your money, it's your time and your attention. There's two ways we can allocate it. V1, we do little allocations like this. I'm gonna look at crypto, I'm gonna look at day trading, I'm gonna look at Forex, I'm gonna look at flipping houses, I'm gonna look at long-term investing in real estate, I'm gonna look into Airbnb, I'm gonna look into starting an ATM business, I'm gonna look at, you get the idea, right? So let's say this is you, and this is your time and attention that you have to pursue any new opportunity. So you say, I need 7 income streams, because the average millionaire has 7 income streams. So I'm gonna spread myself thin between 7 different opportunities. And while I do that, I'm gonna be multitasking, trying to fill different cups at the same time with different colors, and I'm somehow gonna wait until one of these things takes off, right? I have to see which ones of these will work. But the reality is, it's not which of these ones will work. Any of them could work if you put the work in, but you have to reach a threshold. Once you get to the top, the extra cash starts spilling over, and you actually...
Okay, so let's just make sure we're checking in with each other here. We're about 5 minutes in. We've learned what is a millionaire. Okay. What is a millionaire? We've learned that. And we've learned don't diversify. So specialize, right? Niche down. Okay. Got it?
have a profitable opportunity. Which one of these cups is closer to spilling over? You going in on one thing, or you spreading yourself between 7? And the reason that this myth continues to proliferate is because it's absolutely true that people who are the wealthiest have multiple income streams. But what's not true is about how they got there. The wealthiest people in the world go all in on one income stream, and they keep adding it up over and over and over again until it overflows. And then once it overflows, because they're making so much money from their one opportunity, they then start diversifying back between the other different ways. But they made their wealth focusing on one thing, and then they maintain their wealth by distributing it. You don't make money by splitting your attention up. You make it by focusing on the one thing that matters most. V2, you say,
okay, I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
what do I really like? Well, I do have experience doing this one thing, and so I'm going to ignore all of these other opportunities and just go all in on one thing. The reason I'm such a big advocate of focusing your attention on one thing is that this is where you get disproportionate returns. Because I think it's very arrogant to think that your 10% of your attention, where you're not even that good at business to begin with, spread between 10 things, is somehow going to compete against somebody who's putting all of their effort on one thing. But here's the fallacy that most people who are starting out don't get. They think, I'm going to try all of them and see which one works out. Or rather, I'm going to try and start multiple things and see which one takes off. But the reality is that all of them could take off, or none of them could take off, but it's solely based on which one you work on. So it's not which one will work, it's which one will you work on. You want to go as fast as possible through the I have no idea what I'm doing phase, so that you can get to the I do know what I'm doing phase, and I understand the risks that are associated with this, and that's why I don't want to diversify, because I actually get outsized returns here. There's 5 stages that you go through as an entrepreneur when you're considering a new opportunity. Phase 1 is called uninformed optimism. This is where you are uninformed, but you're like, man, this opportunity sounds so great. Look at all these people making all this money. And so then you dive in. And then you get to something called informed pessimism. You're like, oh wow, this isn't as easy as I thought. There's all these other things that they didn't talk about in this ad, or in this highlight reel that they show me on this YouTube short about this person that made $1,000 a day going from nothing from her home, right? So then what happens next is you keep working on it, and then you get into the valley of despair.
Isn't this just the Dunning-Kruger effect, if you think about it?
Face, ad face. This is where most people quit. And this is what most people do now. ... They find another one of these things to get into, and they go all the way over back here, because they think, oh no, this one has doo-doo on this side of the fence. So I'm gonna go to the other side of the fence where the grass is green. But what they don't realize is that when they get into that side, it's completely made of manure. And that's why the grass is so green, right? There's poo on both sides. You just didn't know about it until you got there, all right? And so what happens is people keep repeating the cycle over and over and over again, and they never make progress. And so here's the thing, is that when you do find something that you're like, you know what, I kind of like this. Okay, this is harder than I originally thought. I need to keep learning. Wow, this is actually really hard. There's a lot more pieces to this than I understood at the beginning. I guess this is why everyone isn't rich. And then something magic happens. You then start to have informed optimism. you now start to realize you've wrapped your arms around whatever the opportunity is or whatever thing you're pursuing. You're like, okay, I haven't gotten there yet. I understand the math. I understand the process of getting where I am to where I'm trying to go. And ultimately, this is what I'm trying to do with this blueprint for you, is that if I can help you tackle as much of this, or at least compress the time that it takes you to get here, that's a big victory for me. And then you finally get to the final phase, which is achievement, which is you actually accomplish externally what you set out to. And most newbies fall out between here and here and then start this process over again. So most people only relive this over and over and over again without ever making it to here, which then naturally leads you to here because then you have no desire.
Okay, so in summary, don't give up, right? Don't pivot. Keep locked in, see it through till you get out of the valley. Okay, so what is a millionaire? Don't diversify and don't give up. That's what we've learned so far. We're about 10% of the way through.
Get there, I'm gonna repeat the process. So now we go to the last part of level 1 of becoming a millionaire. The long game. If I told you to build the tallest tower you possibly could in 10 seconds, here's what you might do. Boom. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time, right? Now, imagine I told you to build the tallest building you possibly could in 10 days. You would probably say, you know what? I can probably get some more boxes. How flimsy is this, right? Like, how stable is this? You think this is gonna last a long time? Probably not. So I might build it piece by piece from the ground up with more stable bricks from day one. And I would keep doing it this way, right? And I'd keep adding and keep adding and keep adding. And then when 10 days came, I might be 5 stories high. And so the reason this is such an important frame shift for people is that the fact that they're in a rush causes them to build the thing they want to build differently. The fastest way to get to this tall is to build it the exact way I did earlier, stack it end to end up to this point. But if I then said, I need you to build something that's 10 stories tall, you would never get there. And what happens is people get stuck, right? They get stuck at this level and they can't add another one on top. And they stay here and they're like, why can't I get my $1 million business to $10 million? And it's because you built it wrong to begin with. And so as much as this sounds painful, sometimes the fastest way to get to 10 million is to start back at 0 and build it right to begin with. I talk so much about long game, about making sure that you're building it the right way, because this thing is never gonna last.
Okay, so do it nice or do it twice, right? Do it properly.
And so the hardest thing about building something right is that in the beginning, you need to have something to sell. You need your amazing, valuable thing. And then that's a megaphone. It's terrible.
Speaking of amazing, valuable thing, thank you, Alex Hormozi. I should just mention, not only is there new merch available on alwaysmarcomerch.com, the link is in the chat. You can get a discount if you use the code that I just put in the chat. Shh. Alwaysmarcomerch.com. Get it before Christmas. Next is, one other reason why I've not been sleeping well is not just because of stress from lawsuits. It's also because I've been working to finish up this free guide that I've been talking about, as well as the associated sort of back end that goes with it. So I wonder if it's at a point where I can like show you guys something, little sneaky peeky poo. Let's see. Let me just see if this looks like, okay, this isn't, no, I don't want to show it before it's finished. Basically, you guys will be brought to a website when you want to get the free guide. The free guide, what is it about? It's for helping friends and loved ones who are in multi-level marketing schemes get out and helping yourself to talk to them and engage with them without risking them looking at you as a hater and a dream stealer and cutting you off and the destruction of the relationship, which is what happened to me in 2015 and is the origin story of my entire YouTube career, if you can call it that. So you'll be brought to a website. You can download the guide for free, and this is totally optional if you want to receive after you download it. I think it's 2 weeks, just under 2 weeks worth of additional information that I send through email. More like stuff that didn't fit in the guide, but I still felt was valuable to share with people. Valuable lessons, recommendations for books that give you more helpful info, stories about my own sort of adventures within this world of navigating and exposing MLMs. So again, that's optional. There's no purchase required. For people who actually want, and this is the part where I'm excited about it, and this is like an actual financial offer, is for people who, this is a guy who, for people who are in a situation where they have a loved one who's in MLM, and maybe it's them or the family or them on behalf of the family or whatever, friend, spouse. This is where you can book with me a one-on-one call totally for free Right now, if you go on my merch store, you'll see that I have calls that you can book with me for money. This is for people who already know, yes, I want to talk to this guy. I want to get some advice, a one and done call about how to deal with my loved one who's in MLM. The other one is a bit different. The other one is a free call, short call. It'll be like 15 minutes max, 10, 15 minutes. And this call is basically just to discuss if this is the right solution for you. And what I'm offering is, it's basically, think of how a fitness trainer would have like clients that they do check-ins with every week, where the clients are sending updated physique photos and sort of a list of like their food log, their food diary of what they've been eating and how they've been working out, and getting their coach to sort of tweak it. This is basically that, but for the problem of helping your loved one out of MLM. So each week, they're going to send me the people who are part of this. It's going to be like, I'm one guy. So this is going to be extremely limited, which I feel bad about, because I would, if 1,000 people wanted to sign up, I wish that I would have the time to accommodate 1,000 people, but I wouldn't be doing anything of quality for that many people. So it's going to be very limited. But basically, for the people who are part of it, every week, they're going to be telling me what the status of the situation is with their loved one. And I'm going to be literally guiding them personally by sending them like a pre-recorded custom video, where once I have all the information about their specific situation, I'm going to be offering recommendations of like, okay, here's what you don't say. Here's what I think they'll respond to. Here's what I think you should be talking about. Here's the setting that I want you to do it in. Here are the activities that I think you could do to build rapport together. And here's what to avoid saying. And they're going to go and have this interaction or have these conversations with their loved one or friend who's in MLM, and they're going to come back to me. And the next week, we're going to try to plant the next seed of doubt, and we're going to do this until the person hopefully leaves. Matter of fact, hopefully they leave after the first thing, after the first interaction. But this is what this is what I've been building, is I know that I have the knowledge. I know that I've read the books. I have some of them right here. I know that I know the material like nobody else. My copy of Doublespeak here with all of my bookmarks in it. My copy of Freedom of Mind with all of my bookmarks in it. My copy of Ponzinomics with all of my bookmarks in it. My hardcover copy of Little Bosses Everywhere, which is green so you can't see it, which has no bookmarks in it because this is the final copy. My version that I got was an advanced reader copy, paperback. Maybe I should do a giveaway for this one. I have the paperback early advanced copy from the publisher, and that version has all of my sticky notes in it. Not pictured here is False Prophets by Robert Fitzpatrick. So I know that I have the knowledge from these books and from my 6 years on YouTube looking at MLMs, and from the interviews that I've done with people like Robert Fitzpatrick, Steve Hassan, Doug Brooks, etc. I think I know. Also not pictured is the book Without Conscience, which is about psychopaths. Also not pictured is the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, which is about your gut instinct and being able to sniff out bullshit and fraud. I know that I have the knowledge to to provide people a really helpful, like, guided support. So I don't know why I haven't pulled the trigger on it. I guess I've just been self-conscious about, like, you know, me being somebody who talks about how people are getting scammed. I almost feel like if I sell anything, even if it's something totally like innocuous, like I could sell soap and people would be like, again, I'm making this up in my head. I always have had the thought that people would be like, oh, well, this guy's telling you not to buy this, but he's telling you to buy this. So really, he's just a scammer. But I know it's fucking bullshit, of course. I mean, you can't let that stop you from trying to do what you believe in and what you think is good. So, and if the thing you're offering is shit, guess what? The market will respond in kind and let you know that, and you probably won't be so successful for very long. So, oh yeah, also direct selling a nonfiction fairy tale. I did not purchase a PBD mystery box yet. No. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. I hope you guys think that's a cool idea. If not, well, The people who have booked one-on-one calls with me have sent me glowing testimonials. So, you know, I'm optimistic about it. Closing my $9 million per year business ASAP, says Up Syndrome. Do it. Dick Insider says, I just read the description for the journal in the merch shop. Go read it. I like to put little Easter eggs in the you know, the merch descriptions and wherever I can for people who look for it. Extreme RT says, I'm sure your guide will help a lot of people. I trust you with putting the right approach in the guide, seeing all those interviews and how you know every detail of all MLM strategies. Thank you so much. Yes. And thumbs up the ting, y'all, because only half of y'all have done it.
Thumbs up the ting.
And it's free. It's free to do. It notifies more people that I'm live. It gets the algorithm moisturized.
But then you need to advertise it to let people know about stuff. And then you start making sales. But the problem is that people get to this point and then think, oh, I need to do more marketing and sales, right? Because that's what made me money. But the problem is the more you market and sell, the more people actually find out that this is not a gift and this is actually a big pile of shit. And so what happens is now you've got people who buy this thing and tell their friends, this thing stinks.
Just ordered a mom to stop drinking and dad to come home. I don't even know what you mean by that.
And then over time, it becomes more and more expensive for you to advertise because your reputation stinks. And so the right way to build it is to understand that you have to build the thing first, and then you got to let people know about it. But then you don't crank on this. You keep fixing this thing until this guy becomes a happy camper and tells his friends. And until that happens, you keep making this thing better. And this is the same thing as if I did this and just kept gassing it, that's me vertically building the tower and then reaching a max that I can't go past anymore. Versus building it so that I get people to say, wow, this thing's amazing. And so then they also tell people for me. So that when I get to that point, I actually built it with a huge base of foundation and I can keep stacking on top of it. And that's the difference in terms of mindset and perspective of how you actually build something that's going to last. And then along the way with your team and the people that you hire, rather than saying, hey, I just need a body in the seat, I just need a person to do this thing, you're like, who here has talent? And I might interview 20 people for one role rather than 3 so I get the right person. If you feel stuck.
Oh, Burger Baron, new goon baby has joined the cult, y'all. A new baby goon. In hospital RN because we just welcomed our son. Wife is resting and I'm listening to the live while holding our new son. Put it on speaker. Let me talk to him. Put it on speaker. Let me talk to the baby. Let me give some wisdom to this baby as soon as this. I want it to be the first thing he hears.
Thanks, Marco.
My voice. Congratulations, Burger Baron, to you and Mrs. Baron and your son, Marco. Assuming that's what you named him. You said it was a boy, right? So yeah, congratulations. And thank you. Thanks for being here. That's some next level commitment.
All the time and you can't make progress, you usually need to go back to the beginning and realize that you built a vertical business that had no foundation to begin with. And now we have our foundation built for level 1 of wealth creation. Level 2 is all about the actual tactics of getting to making your first million. And it starts with finding a hungry crowd. Let me explain what I mean by find a hungry crowd. This guy started a business selling hot dogs and he was given one wish from a genie of what competitive advantage he would be able to have. The first thought he had was like, maybe I'll make my hot dogs cheaper. The genie shook his head and was like, no. He's like, what if I made my hot dogs taste better? And the genie said, no, don't waste your wish on that. Maybe I'll just make mine the fastest cooking so I can serve the hot dogs faster. The genie said, that's not what you want to waste your wish on. The genie looked at him, holding the hot dogs and buns in hand, and said, it's not about the hot dogs. If you want to build an amazing business, you want to put your hot dog stand on the best corner in front of a starving crowd. Because if your hot dog stand is on the corner, it doesn't matter how cheap they are, how good they taste, how fast they cook. The moment that hungry crowd walks out and sees your hot dog stand, they're going to sell it every time. So right off the bat, I want to talk about 2 key concepts when it comes to finding a hungry crowd. One is that we have to understand that the market is always going to be the strongest variable in how much money you make, right? If you're selling toilet paper during COVID, you're going to sell out, right? Because it didn't matter how good your toilet paper was, there was a starving crowd. And so supply demand, which is one of the reasons that we have it as our logo, it is the strongest force in all of economics and business. It is the core thing that everything else is built on. And so you have to understand that the market is number 1. If I was trying to sell services to newspaper companies, well, newspaper companies are decreasing by 25% per year, compounding negatively in the wrong direction. The next lever on this is the offer that you give people, right? If you have a superior offer, then if you're in a normal market, that'll be the next lever that you have. If I say, hey, start for free, and I only get paid if you get some sort of result, and it's a truly free, low risk.
Write this down, y'all. Supply and demand. So what is a millionaire? Specialize. Don't give up. Do it right. Supply and demand. He's giving us gems right now.
Amazing value and you get results tomorrow offer, then you're gonna sell 10 times, 100 times more than someone who just has like a, you pay me and maybe you get results and maybe you don't type of service or product. The final thing is your ability to persuade. Ideally, go after a really big market with an amazing offer and be a hell of a persuader. But the thing is you can be terrible at persuading and have a terrible offer and say you can only buy my toilet paper in 80 roll chunks or I'm not gonna sell it to you and still sell out during COVID. But if it's not COVID, then it's, how can I make the toilet paper offer that I have significantly more compelling? And if all the toilet paper offers look the same, then it just comes down to how well I can persuade people to buy mine. That's concept one when it comes to finding a hungry crowd. Concept two is the 4 things that I look for when I'm actually trying to find that market. Number one is I want people who are in pain. You want to make sure that the people that you're selling to are in desperate need. They don't want, but must have the thing that you are selling. The second is that they must have the ability to buy. So purchasing power. So a friend of mine had a business where he helped people who were unemployed fix their resumes so that they could get a job. Now, you might be like, oh wow, tons of pain, absolutely. But the problem was he kept trying to grow this business and he couldn't grow it because they were all broke because they didn't have a job. The third factor.
Actually, this is one that I agree with. Not so much, I don't like to use the word pain, but I do think the word need is important. I know people in sales talk about like pain points, you know, friction, whatever. When it comes to the thing that I'm doing here right away, this guided support program, it's not a course, it's a free guide. And if you want my help implementing the guide to your situation, that's what people are paying me for. The reason that I'm doing the free call, the sort of like 15-minute consultation, is because I need to know before I agree to take somebody's money if they've already jeopardized the path to, rapport building with their loved one by saying certain things before I've even spoken to them. Meaning, if somebody books the free call, downloads the guide, books a free call with me, and they say, yeah, so my brother has already cut me off because I told him the company he's in is a pyramid scheme. You know, I'm not going to lie to that person and be like, okay, no problem. I'm definitely going to help you, guarantee you that they're going to get out. It's going to be much harder for that person. So I need to have this call with them to like temper their expectations so that they can make the decision about whether to actually go through with spending money or not, which I think is totally fair. You know, I'd like to get to know people. I wouldn't have to do a free guide. I wouldn't have to do this consult call. I could just put a fucking button on a website that says book now. And people would book it, you know, even with the free calls. That's basically what the free calls are. Sorry, that's basically what the existing paid calls that I have on my merch store are. A button with the description, somebody, and then you can talk to me. Some of the people who booked calls there, they didn't even want to talk about MLM. One guy was like, "Can you help me give me your thoughts on my website that I'm building, which is like a review website." Another guy wanted advice on like how to grow on YouTube. It was really random, actually. Another guy, a couple people were just like, I just want to show love, you know, I just want to support and talk some shit. So that's why I need to do this like consult thing to make sure I'm really like vetting properly and providing, value. Type 0 says, I thought step 2 was to build a good quality business. Now it doesn't matter as long as you're in front of a starving crowd. Alex works in mysterious ways, as they say. Literally selling apples in the street, Robert Fitzpatrick reference. Did someone who is jealous of his success punch him in the nose? I don't know. It's his brand, you know? Dr. Ebb says, just have a fantastic idea, put it in front of a huge number of well-qualified people and get rich. Easy peasy. In most cases, you're better off doing something in a huge industry. Yeah.
That I look for is easy to target. Because at the end of the day, even if you have somebody who's in lots of pain who can buy your thing, if you can never find them, it doesn't matter because they're never gonna buy your thing because they'll never know you exist. And so if I have the choice between 2 different marketplaces and one of them is like nurses, incredibly easy to find, or something that is way harder to find, like psychedelic Aztecs in Croatia, way harder to target. And you know what? They might have a huge pain and lots of purchasing power to buy my thing, but if I can't find them, it's irrelevant. The fourth one you want to have is that you have a growing market. Now, I gave the example earlier about the newspapers, right? So believe it or not, a good friend of mine actually had a business that sold a rev share model to newspapers. So he was an amazingly persuasive guy. he had an amazing offer, which is 0 risk. He just said like, let me get a percentage of the revenue that I bring to you, all right? So these two things were completely maxed out, but he couldn't figure out why his company wasn't growing every year. He was beating his competitors and gaining more customers than they were, but still slipping away in terms of his ability to grow. And it was because the entire marketplace as a whole was shrinking. And so you wanna make sure that you have all 4 of these things. You can't just have 3 of them or 2 of them or 1 of them. You need to have all 4. And so when you're thinking about what thing you wanna sell, start with who you wanna sell it to. So you have your hungry crowd, now what do? 1 avatar, 1 product, 1 channel. This is the simplest formula to getting to $1 million plus. All you have to do is find 1 person that you want to help. It's just making sure that you're very clear on the 1 very specific person that you are going to help. That is the avatar. The next thing is you want to give them 1 product. And the reason I say
new Avatar movie coming out soon. Does anyone care? I swear to God, if this thing makes money, I'm going to be pissed. And I know it will make money. Who's watching these? Who's watching Jake Sully and Natiri? Who cares? Name Jake Sully's kids. Name one of them. Name, what's his name? The villain. Who was the villain from the last 2? Tell me his name. Tell me the name of the actor that plays Jake Sully. Nobody even cares about these movies. And yet somehow they make $1 bajillion. There's got to be some sort of money laundering going on or something.
With 1 product is that a lot of people overcomplicate their businesses too early. They're like, man, if I want to double my business, I should sell them 3 things, right? And then I'll get them to buy more stuff. But the thing is that if you're under $1 million, you're just adding a ton of complexity when you don't even have that many customers. And so most times you'd be better served sticking with the 1 thing that you're selling and saying, how can I sell 3 times as many of the exact same person? And that becomes the problem that you solve. But most people get confronted with these issues and then go for the easy route. And again, this is like that building where you can add something on top really quickly, but it doesn't create the skyscraper that you want. Instead, you want to think, how can I do more? The third variable here is channel. Now, it doesn't matter what channel you're currently acquiring customers on. You can hit $1 million plus on literally any channel that you advertise on without going onto new channels. So if you do outreach, as in you reach out to people one-on-one to get customers, whether that's cold calls, cold emails, DMs, you can expand and continue to get more customers with that 1 channel. If you post content, you can keep posting content on whatever channel you're on and just do it better. Post more content, post better content. And by doing so, you'll increase the amount of customers, still with only 1 money-making product. Or let's say you're running ads. Obviously, if you're running ads, you can just spend more money on the ads, provided you're doing it profitably. And if you can't expand past $1 million a year profitably with paid ads, you have a business problem or you have a pricing problem. You don't actually need to add another channel because then it, again, complicates your business because you're like, okay, well.
Okay, this kind of speaks to the first thing he said, right? Which is like simplify, don't diversify.
I'm currently doing, $500,000 a year on YouTube. You know what I'm gonna do? You might think, oh, I'm gonna start doing cold emails, right? As my next way of getting customers. Well, that majorly complicates your business when you're this early on. Now you might be thinking, wait, shouldn't I have diversity of how you acquire customers? I thought you said that was a good idea. It is, but you're so small, it doesn't matter yet because you're not looking at a potential acquirer who's gonna try and look to decrease risk. For you, you just need to get better at doing the 1 thing that you do well because you're really probably not that good yet. And as terrible as that may sound, it's probably real, all right? And so the fastest way to get to the $1 million is to build it right from the get-go and not overcomplicate your business, which means you pick 1 avatar, 1 product, and 1 channel that you focus on until you get there. So now we go back to our tactics of building our first $1 million. The next thing at level 2 is our offer. Now, I wrote an entire book on this thing, $100 million offers.
This is what I mean. We're not even halfway through the video yet, and it's about, that's what I mean. I think the video is an ad for the books.
It answers the question, what should I sell? And it's because that's the most common question that I get asked every single day for people who are trying to start a business, which makes sense. What am I supposed to sell?
So far, I'm not mad at any of this information. Like, I don't think any of it is wrong per se. It begs the question. It insists upon itself, Lois. It insists upon itself. You know, the Family Guy thing? I gotta watch that. I think it just begs the question, why is this rich businessman, why does he care about helping me? I think the money is made in selling books. That's what I think the business is. That's what I think the money is, okay?
But since we're all gonna die, there's one more secret I feel I have to share with you. I did not care for The Godfather.
What?
Did not care for The Godfather.
How can you even say that, Dad?
Didn't like it.
Peter, it's so good. It's like the perfect movie.
This is what everyone always says. Whenever they say,
Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. You never see Robert Duvall.
Fine actor. Did not like the movie. Why not? Couldn't get into it.
Explain yourself. What didn't you like about it?
It insists upon itself, Lois.
What?
It insists upon itself.
What does that?
So stupid. All right.
So I call this the value equation. Now, fundamentally, you've probably heard all over the internet, you need to provide value. You got to give value, right? But the question is, what is value? And after doing a lot of studying of figuring this out between our portfolio companies, it actually comes down to 4 variables. Variable number 1.
Drew Starr, I knew there was going to be at least a couple of y'all in this stream. Last stream I talked about Alex. There was some staunch Alex Hormozi defenders. I'm not saying he can't plug his book on his own channel. I'm not saying that he's scamming by plugging his book on his own channel. I'm saying that I think his actual business is selling books. All this stuff about acquisitions and private equity and venture capital, I think it's, I mean, show me the proof. I see the proof of the books. I know the book exists. Show me the proof of these multi-million-dollar, $100 million acquisitions and whatever you're doing. I think there's just so many business buzzwords he's throwing out. Oh yeah, what's the alpha on this? What's the, you know, I can't even think of examples right now. Last stream he was talking about key man risk. What's the alpha on this? What's the alpha on that? You know, venture capital, private equity. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Is the dream outcome. What the dream outcome is for whoever the prospect that you pick is, the way that you can compare two different dream outcomes is how much more valuable they think one outcome is versus another. If I were to talk to a 30-year-old man and say, hey, I can help you lose weight or I can make you a millionaire, most guys would value being a millionaire more than, let's say, being handsome.
Hence, I mean, showing his hand a little bit there, isn't he?
There are different outcomes that people will ascribe different values to. And that's just a very extreme example. Well, let's use the weight loss example and let's switch it to women. If I have one ebook that helps someone lose weight, and then I've got a one-on-one personal training program that helps someone lose weight, it's the same dream outcome. So then what then determines which one is more valuable? Because the ebook might be $50 and be overpriced, and the personal training might be $5,000 and be underpriced. How can you make that discrepancy? Because there's more value. Let me explain. The next one is perceived likelihood of achievement, meaning when I buy, how likely do I think I will get what I want through buying? If I buy a $50 ebook on good meals that I can cook that are healthy, maybe I'll get some food that I might like in here and I can feel a little better about myself. But they don't realistically think that they're gonna all of a sudden transform their entire body from a $50 ebook. Now, if you sign up for personal training for a year, you probably have a way bigger perceived likelihood of achievement, and so you value it higher. Now, both of these elements, the dream outcome and the perceived likelihood of achievement, are the things that you want to increase in your communication with a prospect. You're saying it's really, really likely that you're gonna get this thing that you really, really want. The next two variables of the equation are the painful side of the equation, which is what does someone have to give up in order to get it? So the first thing that we have is time. And there's two elements of time. There's micro and macro. Micro is how long is this gonna take every day? There's a certain amount of time that's gonna take on the micro for them to experience the result, right? So if I'm talking about the lady who's doing personal training, she might have to go to the gym 3 times a week. That's gonna take time. She might have to prepare food. That's gonna take time. That's on the micro level. On the macro level, how long is she gonna have to do these micro commitments in order to get the macro result that she wants? She might have to lose 50 pounds and it might take her 18 months. So macro, the goal is I want this to be as little
always macro
as possible micro time, and I want this to be as short as possible in the macro, so that when I say, hey, you're gonna get the dream body you want, you absolutely know that you're gonna get it, and it's gonna happen really, really fast. So the next thing is effort and sacrifice. Effort is what you have to start doing that you weren't doing, that you don't want to do as a result of the purchase. Sacrifice are things that you have to stop doing that you wish you could do, but can't do anymore as a result of the purchase. And so for our lovely young lady, she's gonna have to sacrifice Margarita Mondays and Taco Tuesdays. She's no longer gonna be able to get to do that even though she wants to do that. She's gonna have to sacrifice sleeping in on the weekends, and she's gonna have to start waking up early and working out and eating food that she doesn't like. And so effort and sacrifice tend to be dual sides of the same coin. Whatever you have to start doing, you typically have to stop doing something else. The top side, we try and increase. The bottom side, we try and decrease. We wanna get it to 0. Because if you think about this in a hypothetical extreme, the perfect offer that would have the absolute most value would be the biggest, most compelling dream you can possibly imagine that you're absolutely guaranteed to get instantly with no effort. So if I said you can click a button on my website and then look down at your abs and then have a 6-pack, that would be the hypothetical extreme value. Now people can get that through personal training, changing their diet and waiting 12 months. But because of this, the value is significantly decreased because there are costs associated. Understanding all 4 of these variables is how you craft offers that get people to say yes and give you money. Because oftentimes, the most expensive part of the offer that you have isn't the money. It's the other things that they have to start doing as a result of the purchase. Those are called hidden costs. If I have a marketing agency, okay, and I do content for people, all right, and when I start doing content, I say, okay, it's gonna take us 60 days to ramp up. We're gonna start having 2 calls a week for an hour. You're gonna have to fly out to my studio and we're gonna record. And it's gonna take 60 days before you're gonna start seeing any kind of traction. Imagine that offer compared to somebody who says, you don't need to do anything. I can just draw stuff on my own, immediately start posting, and your phone's gonna ring today. Well, shoot, which one's more valuable? It's still the same core services, but how we wrap them make them probably 10 times more valuable than they were before. And that's why understanding these variables and making the right offer is so compelling on your road to your first million. And the reason this was my first book is that offers is about strategy. Offers is one of the largest levers that you can pull with any business because it actually affects all departments. When you change the offer, it changes how you market. When you change the offer, it changes the sales script, the sales process. When you change the offer, it changes what you deliver. It literally affects everything. And so for us, we always try and nail this with our portfolio companies at acquisition.com. To be clear, we don't sell coaching. We invest in businesses and buy them. And for context, our average portfolio company over the first 12 months, 1.8x is revenue and 3.01x is profit. And over their first 24 months, they 2.8x revenue and 4.7x profit, meaning that they disproportionately drop the increase in revenue to their bottom line because we make sure that the thing that we are selling is as valuable as humanly possible. So the next on our journey of wealth and riches and glory and status and all things amazing is marketing and sales. And if you think about this from a sequence perspective, you have to make the thing and then you have to promote the thing. Now, the making the thing is $100 million offers. What should I sell? The next question is, who should I sell it to? AKA getting leads. And you get leads through advertising, which is the concept of my second book, $100 million leads. And then you get them to buy. But the thing that people mess up is that they then think, okay, I'm gonna do more of that. But what you actually need to do next is you go back to here and you fix the product and keep making it better. And then you promote it more. And then you come back and fix the product and make it better. And it becomes this virtuous cycle. So if we need to understand how to market and sell, then it means that you have to have one advertising method. There are 8 ways you can advertise. There's 4 that you can do, and then there's 4 that other people can do for you. You can do warm outreach, which is reaching out one-to-one to your friends. You can post content one-to-many, but to people who know you. You can run paid ads, which is doing one-to-many to strangers, or you can do one-to-one to strangers, which is cold outreach. And if you're like, man, no one's buying my thing, I can guarantee you that you're not doing enough of these core 4, period. That's it, because these are the only 4 things that you can do to advertise. The next thing is that you can get referrals from customers, which are lead getters. Next, you can have employees who help do the core 4 for you. You can have agencies who run the core 4 for you, make content for you, do outreach for you. All of those things you can hire another business to help you with. And then finally, you've got affiliates, which some people call influencers, some people call endorsements, but it's somebody who already has an audience, already has a business, and then you compensate in some way to do the advertising for you, the core 4, to let other people know about your stuff. These are the 8 ways that you can advertise anything to anyone. And the nice thing is when you're starting out for your first million, just pick one. Once you pick the advertising method that you want, and let's say you're using lead getters, you have to learn one of the core 4 to then get lead getters. And that's okay, that's fine, that's part of business. These will always give you more leverage than the first 4. And that's okay, but you have to start with these first. So let's assume that you're just gonna stick to the core 4 in the beginning because you're like, I don't wanna involve other parties, which I recommend, especially if you're starting out. And you're like, you know what, I'm going to post content. That's what you're gonna do, that's your method. All right, now you're gonna have all these people who like your posts, comment on your posts, DM you personally when you make content that they find compelling or interesting and say, hey, I'd love your help on whatever this thing is. Then you transition into sales. Now, it's so important for founders who are starting a company to be integrally involved in both of these processes. The reason you want the founder to be integrally involved in the beginning is 1, it's cheaper, and especially when you have less cash, that makes sense. 2, these are skills that are going to be required for you to succeed over the long haul. So you're going to want to understand them at a tactical level because when you bring someone else in the future, these lead getters, whether it's employees, agencies, affiliates, whatever, you can teach them the right way to do it. And when they say, hey, that's not possible, you can be like, no, it is. Let me show you how. And then you have a litmus test of who's legit and who's not, who's going to help you on your journey. Whether you're hiring them or you're incentivizing them, it works the same. When it comes to the sales side, we want to get into a choreographed process, knowing what step 1 through letter Z of the process looks like to get someone from, I think this might be interesting, to giving you money. But if you don't know what you're doing first, you have to throw stuff on the wall and see what sticks. And a lot of it's just gonna be your gut in the beginning and figuring out, whoop, that didn't work, whoop, that didn't, oh, that one actually got a response. All right, that's step 2. And you keep trying until you get to step 3, and then you keep trying until you get to step 4, until eventually somebody gives you money. And then you backtrack and say, what happened to this person that did these steps? Great. Now I'm gonna try and recreate that as many times as I can, and then that becomes your process. And that process repeats at each micro level too, because that might be 3 or 4 steps to get to the conversation where someone might give you money. And then what do you do in that conversation? Well, when I ask this question first, and this question second, and this question third, it's more likely that they ultimately buy. And so if you don't follow a script in the beginning, you better make one, because if you're going to eventually get out of sales, which you should if you want to scale, then you're going to be able to teach somebody else how to sell too. And one of the biggest issues early on is that the founder is the most convicted about the product, and you should be, it's your company. But people who come after you are never going to be as charismatic or as convicted in the thing that you have as you are, which means you need to follow a process to maximize the likelihood that the prospects that they speak with ultimately purchase. The next level in our blueprint or journey to wealth, the mountain of Mordor, and by Mordor I mean more money, is paying yourself. How much should you pay yourself? When should you pay yourself? Of all the topics we're going to talk about today, this is probably the most subjective. And the reason for that is because it underlines one key concept that is 100% personal. It says repeats at each micro level too, because that might be 3 or 4 steps. The was that I took all the lines, one key concept that is 100% personal, which is risk tolerance, which is how much risk are you willing to take individually. One of the regrets that I have earlier on as I continued to double down on my gym chain was that I took all the profit from each gym and I kept putting it into the next gym. I basically took nothing out for the entire time. Now that's super risky. I was living on nothing, living cheap, I was eating cheap, I had a cash car that I owned outright, and I just put everything I had, spent every hour of my day growing my business. Eventually though, I ended up losing all the money from selling all my gyms and was left with nothing. And if I had taken out some cash during that period of time, I would have had 2 benefits. Benefit number 1.
So true, Monsoon the Goon. Real goons looking to get rich. Just ask ask the U.S. for money to defend their country. So true,
One
so true.
is that when you really try and take out cash flow from the business, you'd be amazed at how much cash flow just magically appears. And so I like having bank account PRs be a good personal goal for every entrepreneur. Even if the increment that you're increasing is small, it does two things. One, it forces you to take cash out of the business. So it forces cash flow. The second is that it forces you to decrease your spending personally. And I have a strong belief that as you're coming up, learning the discipline to spend less, if you increase the cash flow that you take out of the business and you spend less over time, then your bank account has nowhere to go but up. And I can promise you that when you have a very full bank account, business decisions become less stressful. And when you make less stressed decisions, you make better decisions. I do believe in taking some money out of the business along the way, because let's be real, you're going to live a long life and then you're going to die. And if you double down every single minute until the day that you died, you build the most enterprise value, but you live a really shitty life. So at some point, you have to balance the investment versus consumption of life itself, or the fruit of your labor. That is why I'm a believer in at least allocating a certain percentage of the cash flow from the business to you personally. A healthy way of thinking about this that we have for some of our...
All right, new tip, write this down. Pay yourself. So true. So true.
Heavy capital intensive businesses, meaning like brick and mortar chains, which is one of the biggest parts of our portfolio. This is one backup napkin way that you can use. 33% goes to you, 30% goes to growth, which is new locations. And then this is rainy day. This is cash reserves for the business, cash reserves for you, and this is for new location. Another way of doing it is something called a watermark. We know that we need to...
Wagwan Jerusalem Artichoke. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that.
Grow 2 locations, and this is a proxy. It doesn't have to be 2 locations.
Reminder to use Streamlabs. If y'all are going to drop bags, use Streamlabs, link in the chat, because YouTube loves to take that 30%. Boy, oh boy.
You could be hiring 2 people, hiring 2 reps, it doesn't matter. 2 more developers if you're a software company, it works the same. 2 more per month costs X dollars. We have Y profit. So all we do is we say, whatever the profit is at the end of the month, we subtract this, and then we have a watermark above which we always leave in the account. And then everything else, we distribute as cash flow. That's a different way of doing it. This is a little bit more aggressive if you want to maintain a certain growth rate. This one is a little bit more flexible. It really depends on you and your tolerance for risk. And that's one thing that I'd say I pride myself on in terms of our ability to help portfolio companies and newer founders who are creating their first kind of generational wealth, is these are hard conversations to have and are really important conversations to have. And you want somebody who isn't a financial advisor who's trying to get you to take as much cash out so that they can invest and get their 1% fee. You want somebody who's on the same side of the table as you, being like, I get where you're at, I can see where your wealth is, and also sees over the next 24, 36, 60 months what it looks like for us to just have that one big bloop so you never have to work again.
We're now approaching the second level of wealth, the pinnacle of our second level, which is setting goals. And I think this is a really misunderstood topic. Most people think like, oh, I need SMART goals or specific measurable goals. That. I'll show you how I do it. All right, so rather than focusing on outcomes, we focus on activities. So the goal shouldn't be what happens, but the goal should be what we do. I had a buddy of mine, so he started doing 10 grand a month, 20 grand a month, 30 grand a month, and then he would fall off. And I was like, why do you keep falling off? He said, well, I make the money and I hit my goal, so then I like ease off the gas pedal. And I said, it's because you're defining your goals the wrong way. I see you as not hitting your goal every time you're not doing the activities. And so I said, make the activities the goal, and then you'll hit it every time and more. And so they flipped how he saw his own success into simply, at the end of the day, did he do all the things that he said he was going to do at the beginning of the day? And then you can actually control your inputs, because inputs are what drive outputs.
What happened to the audio? I think his microphone died.
Don't make the goal outputs. Say, what am I going to do that would be unreasonable that I don't hit these outputs? So for example, my inputs might be, and this is one of my favorite ways for thinking about like advertising, is something that I call the rule of 100. So the rule of 100 simply states that if you do 100 primary actions over 100 days, you usually get the first result that you ultimately want. Now you hook people by saying you're going to get the first result you want, but the key point is that you're doing 100 actions. And one of my little monikers that I would share with you is count in hundreds. All right, so when a lot of people are like, man, I did the thing. How many hundreds did you do? If I was doing warm reach outs, I'd say, cool, reach out to 100 friends a day. If I'm doing cold reach outs, I'd say, cool, reach out to 100 people a day. If I'm making content, cool, make 100 minutes of content every day. If I'm running ads, I'd say, run $100 a day. And each of those are activities that we can say, these things will drive these outputs. They make that the goal. And so at the end of the day, you can say, yes, I did it, or no, I didn't do it. Not, did I make a sale? Because no matter what, even if you didn't make a sale today, you should still do your 100 inputs so that you can make 2 sales tomorrow. So the second concept I talked about when it comes to goals is how we actually set goals for portfolio companies. And it's not the way that you think, but it is something that we're going to recognize because we actually use the scientific method. And here's how it works. 4 simple boxes. One is, what problem are we actually trying to solve? A lot of times we spend the most time on this part of this because a lot of times people are like, oh, I think we need to redo our logo. Why? What is that going to accomplish? What constraint are we alleviating? Right? Because for us, we back our goals into the constraints of the business. Because let's say that conversion rate on our homepage is not a problem. Well, then why do we need to redesign the logo? Oh, we don't. One of my favorite ways to solve problems is decide not a problem to begin with. So this is column number 1, which is what problem we're solving. The second is, what's our hypothesis, which is an if-then statement. X
then why? So what that means is, I say, my hypothesis is, if our website is low conversion, that's the problem that we're solving. My hypothesis is that if we redesign the website, we will then get increased conversions. And then all we have to do is say, how do we measure X and Y? How do I measure that we redesigned it? I could say yes or no, I did it, or I could say that we hold a split test every Monday that we run over the quarter. That would be the X. That's something I could say yes or no, we did it. And then Y, my conversion rate, let's say we're at 10%, and then I would say, is it greater than 10%? Yes or no? And then finally, the last thing is, did we do it? And then did it work? We figure out the problem we're solving, we figure out what our hypothesis is to solve it, we determine how we're gonna measure whether or not we did, or whether or not it happened, and then we say, did we do the thing?
Yeah, total nothing burger, isn't it? Oh shit, I went to the wrong thing. Ah, fuck me.
And then I would say, is it great? Iteratively improve the business. So we covered the fundamentals of wealth creation. And we talked about how to create our first million, and now we've got it. And now level 3, we're talking about stay rich and getting richer. Getting rich once. So one of my mentors was ex-Goldman Sachs employee. One of his mentors at Goldman Sachs told
Morgan Stanley Dean Witter?
him we should only have to get rich once. And I heard that saying and it's really stuck with me, is if you play the game right, you should only have to play it once. And then after that, you should be playing with house money the whole time and never take bets that you would lose the farm over. In other words, never bet the empire on a pot of gold. But this is the very first passage in $100 million offers. Outsized returns often come from betting against conventional wisdom, and conventional wisdom is usually right. Given a 10% chance of 100 times payoff, you should take that bet every time, but you're still going to be wrong 9 times out of 10. We all know that if you swing for the fences, you're going to strike out a lot, but you're also going to hit some home runs. The difference between baseball and business, however, is that baseball has a truncated outcome distribution. When you swing, no matter how well you connect with the ball, the most runs you can get is 4. In business, every once in a while, when you step up to the plate, you can score 1,000 runs. This long-tail distribution of returns is why it's important to be bold. Big winners pay for so many experiments. That's from Jeff Bezos. So if you do hit it out of the park, you shouldn't want to have to bet everything on it again to keep staying rich. When you get that one winning bet, or that one winning ball that comes and you knock it out of the park, you should be able to win for good. And so that's why one of my favorite sayings when it comes to wealth building is that fortunes are created through taking huge risks with small amounts of money. But fortunes are preserved by taking small risks with lots of money. So we talked about why you should only have to get rich once, and if you are going to swing for the fences, you still need to be very sure that once you hit it, you never bet it all on black again. Which then leads us actually to our next one, people. So I'm going to explain a concept called the quad marketing calendar. All right. So you think about.
Write this down. Get rich once. Get rich once.
This as internal and external to your business. Now you've got prospects on this side, we got customers, candidates, you got employees. And so you actually need to be marketing all 4 directions at all times. Most people spend all their time advertising here. They say, okay, I'm gonna spend all my resources advertising to get prospects. And then they convert those prospects over this money line and they turn those prospects into customers. But the problem is, if you only advertise in this direction, who's gonna deliver the thing to these customers? Well, you need employees, which means that you also need to be advertising to get candidates to turn into employees. And so this is ultimately the dual-sided nature of advertising, because as you grow the left side, you need to also grow the right side. If you want to continue to get these customers to buy again and again and again, then we also need to advertise in this direction to the customers to get them to buy again and again. So we advertise to prospects and customers. We advertise to get customers to become repeat customers. We advertise to candidates to turn them into employees. And then we advertise to employees to get them more engaged and to keep them engaged and keep educating them so they can ascend up and provide even more value to our customers.
Okay.
And you're making $5 million top line and $2 million of income. Every year, you make $2 million, which adds $1 million after taxes to your net worth. This is a lot like before, right? But here's the difference between the example I explained now and what I was talking about before. In this instance, you add the $1 million to your business, but you also have a probably $10 million asset as business. If
Morgan Stanley Dean Witter C-suite decided to rename it back to Morgan Stanley to reduce Patrick's words per minute. So funny, so true.
This thing truly runs value. EV is short for enterprise value. So there is no enterprise value here because it's just a genius with 1,000 hands. You're just doing with 1,000 helpers. Here, you own something that provides value to a group of customers that you can sell to somebody else, because if you require no work in order to provide the value, it means it requires someone else to do no work to provide the value, which means it becomes a more valuable asset. And so if I took a business from genius with 1,000 hands, making $2 million a year, and I didn't increase the revenue, and I didn't even increase the profit, but I simply removed the genius and make the structure of the business genius, the people who work inside of it and the processes and the systems that they follow genius, then I add $10 million to the net worth of the person who owns it. And so one of the fastest ways to create wealth is make the thing that you have reliable, is to make it risk-free and make sure that it will last. And so even if it took you 2 years to do that, for you to get $10 million of enterprise value or net worth gain, you'd have to make $20 million of income to get to that same $10 million. But meanwhile, while you're building it, you're still also making money in this scenario, which is what we basically do for the majority of businesses that we have at acquisition.com, is that we often take businesses to 2 million, 3, 4, 5, etc., and then take them to this side and say, hey, let me show you what it looks like at 10 with a 7x multiple. And so now you go from a $1 or $2 or $3 million net worth to a $70 million net worth. And that is how you get wealthy. This is how you get rich. Now I want to be clear, you can absolutely get to $1 million a year in profit with not a lot of people, or even just on your own, because with the increases of AI and automation and things like that, like we're going to see more big companies with fewer and fewer headcount. But until general AI comes in and just crushes everyone, people are still required to get to where you want to go. So if you want to not just make $1 million or a couple $1 million, and you want to get to 10, 20, 50, $100 million and beyond, you got to get the people side right. And now we go to the reputation side. Ooh, a fun one. Imagine all these flowers as different life experiences that you've gone through. If you look at them all here, this isn't a bouquet. This is just a lot of random things put together. Now, when we do this and we combine them all, we now have something much closer to a bouquet. And when you put all of your personal life experiences and your skills and your character traits together, you create a bouquet. And in other words, you create a reputation. But a bouquet doesn't really exist.
Create a bouquet. Write this down.
Things that were separate, and then we put them together. And so you can strengthen your reputation by putting more and similar types of experiences together. So you're like, oh, he's got a strong interest in this thing. Now, if every single one of these would be different, and some of these were weeds, it would be a lot harder to understand what is the point of this thing. And let's say that you had a drunk driving accident, right? All of a sudden, how different does this bouquet look? Which shows you how one negative experience in your life can actually affect how people see the rest of everything else. And so when we're thinking about brand or building a reputation, I like to think of it as what flowers do I want in my bouquet, and which things am I ultimately trying to emphasize or not include at all. And what associations are going to be ones that strengthen this, and which are going to be ones that break it apart. So reputation is a different word for saying what a brand is. And a brand is simply an association between something you know and something you don't know. When we're building a brand, you want to associate all the things that you want someone to think about you with the thing that they don't know yet, which is you. Now, for me, the more my personal brand has grown, the more I have transposed acquisition.com's association with me. And so now when my team goes out to the airport and is wearing a hat that says acquisition.com, people are like, dude, can I buy that hat from you? Because they've gotten value from my videos in my books. They see association with that value and they want to pay for it. But if this just had a random shape on it, they would have no desire to pay $50. This actually happened. When my director of HR worked at the airport, and a random person came up and was like, I pay you $100 for the hat. And she said no, obviously, because that's not how our brand works. You gotta earn it. So the idea is that that is fundamentally how branding works. If I'm Louis Vuitton, right? Wouldn't be the world's worst Louis Vuitton symbol, right? If I'm Louis Vuitton, what do? I get Kim Kardashian to wear my clothing or carry my purse. And then the lady who doesn't have status says, man, I want to be like Kim, but I can't buy Kim, so I buy the thing that I've associated with Kim. And then when I wear it, I'll have the status by proxy from her. And that's fundamentally how the luxury market works, but it's also how every market works. Now, why do brands drop celebrities when they make a racial slur, or they get into an accident, or they get arrested for fraud? Because that becomes an association that people do know, and then they don't like. And so they say, I don't want to associate our brand with that. And so they say, we're going to break this association. And so when you're building a brand, it's being very particular about what and who you want to associate with. If I have a porn star next to me, and I have a porn star co-host, you're going to think very different things about me, even if the material is exactly the same. And you might be like, that's flawed. Welcome to humanity and psychology, right? It doesn't matter about whether it's flawed or not. I can just tell you that this is how it works. And so when you're building a reputation, especially in the B2B or the B2C space, you want to provide value, right? We talked about value creation earlier. And so it means that you want to give things that people want, fast and easy way for them to consume that's risk-free. And so when we do that, you compound customer surplus. The street word for that is goodwill, which is what amount of value did someone get in excess of what they paid for. So let's say I paid $1 for something, and I feel like I got $5 worth of value, right? Everything here between the two lines is customer surplus, or what we like to call goodwill. But the interesting thing about this is that if I do this over and over and over again, these things aren't additive. In my experience, they've been multiplicative. Meaning if I keep providing something good, and that's why it's so hard as a brand to decide, when do I want to monetize something? Because the thing is that the next time you provide even more value, when people think that you're going to monetize, they love you that much more, and you get that much more reach and more goodwill so that the next time, and so it's basically reinvesting, but rather than reinvesting capital, you're reinvesting goodwill. Because what I can tell you is that goodwill compounds faster than revenue. You can build a $100 million brand in 3 years, and to build $100 million in revenue might take you way longer than that. And that's because if you just focus on providing goodwill at scale, you get a disproportionate return. The Rock was able to overnight build Terramana into a $6 billion company simply based on his brand. And Huda Beauty built her beauty line into a $1 billion brand. Conor McGregor with Proper 12, $1 billion brand. George Clooney, $1 billion brand. And so they understood this concept, which is that this will grow faster, and so they disproportionately invest early into this so that later they can monetize and do the right hook, the big bloop to the audience. And to quote Uncle Warren, it doesn't matter how much goodwill you have, any number, no matter how big it is, multiplied by 0 equals 0.
Multiply by 0. It's just amazing these people can talk for so long and say, like, you know, it's honestly like, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard to stay engaged because it's like they spend so much time when they're saying, like, let me give you an example. They spend so much time giving you an example. I mean, most nonfiction books do this. Like, you know what book I actually think was so egregiously guilty of this? Mastery by Robert Greene. This is like one of the most famous self-improvement, self-development books ever, Mastery. I found that book exhausting. And actually, somebody had gifted it to me. So shout out to the goon that gifted it to me a couple of years ago. But that book, like, how many fucking case studies are you going to cram into one book to make your point? You know? It could have, the book Mastery could have been summarized, you know, in 2 pages with the principles that it teaches. But it spends so much time being like, an example of when this worked was when this person in 1845, it's like, okay, just wrap it up. Give me the real, let's get to it, you know? It's just like so tangential the way they talk.
I want to monetize something because the thing is that the
yeah, craziest yap battle, this guy versus PBD, yeah. What is value, you know?
next time you provide even more value, when people think that you're going to monetize, they love you that much more, and you get that much more reach and more goodwill so that the next time, and so it's basically reinvesting, but rather than reinvesting capital, you're reinvesting goodwill. Because what I can tell you is that goodwill compounds faster than revenue. You can build a $100 million brand in 3 years.
Sleep paralysis demon, but it's just this. Yeah, this is such an elementary common sense that even year 4 people could tell you, yeah.
And to build $100 million in revenue might take you way longer than that. And that's because if you just focus on providing goodwill at scale, you get a disproportionate return. The Rock was able to overnight build Terramana into a $6 billion company simply based on his brand. And Huda Beauty built her beauty line into a $1 billion brand. Conor McGregor with Proper 12, $1 billion brand. George Clooney, $1 billion brand. And so they understood this concept, which is that this will grow faster, and so they disproportionately invest early into this so that later they can monetize and do the right hook, the big bloop to the audience. And to quote Uncle Warren, it doesn't matter how much goodwill you have, any number, no matter how big it is, multiplied by 0 equals 0. So if you make a bet in the investing world that you then lose all the money, and you had 30 years of good investing, and you go all in on one bet and you lose it all. You undo 30 years of good decisions with one bad decision. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't calculate when they think about their personal brand. If we're going back to these flowers like I had earlier, if I have this one broken flower, it forever affects the way this bouquet looks. Imagine you gave this to your wife or your girlfriend, and you just said, hey, here you go. You'd be like, it's such an eyesore that it distracts from all the other flowers that you have. And so that's why.
Oh, we're back to the bouquet thing, okay.
Making this long-term business. And we're going to talk about compounding. One of those big fancy words for investing, about how to get rich and stay richer. Compounding is when something multiplies unto itself. All right, so I have $100.
When something insists upon itself.
And it compounds at 10% a year. Next year.
So basically all you have to do is have a great idea, sell it to a bunch of people, do it a lot, get famous, and be nice. Nothing to it. Why aren't we all rich? Why aren't we all doing this?
It'll be $110. The year after that, I add 10% of this number, which is I'm 121, right? And then the next year, 133, and so forth. And so you notice that even though the time between these intervals remains the same, the actual amount that we're growing continues to rise proportionally to how much we have, which is how Uncle Warren can have $100 billion and still make another $15 billion this coming year, right? It's because he understands the power of compounding, and they call it the 8th wonder of the world. And in the last decade, Warren Buffett has made more money than he made over the rest of his career. And that's because
eighth wonder of the world is a great way of rebranding it. When we watched a great video recently on stream about a gentleman explaining the exponential function and how people's inability to understand the exponential function is like in itself a phenomenon. Here, let me pull it up again. Our inability to understand the exponential function is the greatest shortcoming, blah, blah, blah. Watch.
Shortcoming of the human race is our inability to understand the exponential function. And the exponential function is the mathematical function that you'd write down if you're going to describe the size of anything that was growing steadily. And for example, 5% per year, the 5% is a fixed fraction, the per year is a fixed length of time, and that's what we always want to talk about, just ordinary steady growth. And people do not understand the implications of this. And an example I use is that if you have something growing steadily, you have a doubling time, and it's easy to calculate. Take the number 70 divided by the percent growth per unit time, and that gives you the doubling time. So for instance, if you had 7% per year, you divide the 70 by 7, and in 10 years is the doubling time. And so what does that mean? Well, one of the examples I use is the cost of an all-day lift ticket to ski at Vail. In 1963, when Vail first opened the ski area, it was $5 for an all-day lift ticket. Well, it doubles every 10 years. 1973 was $10. 1983 was $20. 1993 was $40. 2003 was $80, and if this keeps up by 2013, it'll be $160 a day to ski.
Okay. So yeah, and I when we reacted to that, I more thoroughly went into how, because of that, MLM people love to use that to show how big their business is going to explode, but they don't seem to understand, or it falls into a blind spot in their mind when it comes to applying that to how many prospects they actually have available to them to recruit.
Because the longer you do it, the better it gets. Which is why some of these early wealth building fundamentals are so important. Compounding only unlocks if you have a long-term perspective, because this early first 4 years, I mean, decent, but not bad. But if you do that over 30 years, it becomes unbelievable. And it's also why you have to not diversify, because if we were then splitting this up and saying, you know what, maybe I'm going to stop this, we're interrupting the compounding process. And equity is one of the single greatest compounding vehicles, because you can reallocate capital within the same vehicle, right? And a simple example of that would be like, if I have 10 locations and I can grow by 10% every month, then I go from 10 locations to 11 locations. And next month I get 12 locations. Next month I get 13. And by my 20th month, I can open 2 locations. I get to 22, then 24. And it compounds because by that time.
And then you just 10x that shit. Start with 32 rental properties, 10x it. Simple.
We'll build out the infrastructure to sustain a faster pace. So Panda Express, they added 600 locations this year. They had 2,000 at the beginning of the year. That took them 45 years to get to. This is 1 year. They grew more in this 1 year than they did in any prior year before that. And that's why you just have to stick with it for a long period of time. And this is one of the things that people don't realize about restarting. When you go from year 10 to year 11, you might be incredibly bored with your business. But if you go from 100 million to 110 million, you grew by 10 million. And even though this new thing might sound more exciting in year 1, the likelihood you go from 0 to 10 million year 1 is really unlikely. And so this is where all of the compounding is unlocked, even though it's incredibly boring. But if there's one thing I can have you write down, boring is what makes you rich. One of my favorite quotes from Charlie Munger is that the money is made in the buy or the sell.
Well, you're certainly doing that, Alex. You're certainly boring me, and I'm sure you're getting rich off of the AdSense that I'm watching. Boring, what was it? Makes you rich.
It's made in the wait. And the wait is the hardest part, because you have to sit with your hands in your pockets and decide that the original plan that you had was a good plan. And the hard part of the plan is sticking with the plan, not doing the plan. Like deciding that you're going to work out isn't hard. Deciding that
if a doubling bacteria fills a bottle in 1 hour, at what point is the bottle half full? 1 minute before. At the 59th minute.
3 days a week of the year is hard. It's continuing to do it for that entire time is what makes it hard. And I wanted to find a term for you that is going to really help for me, which is patience, right? A lot of people are like, be patient, be patient. What does that actually mean? Being patient simply means figuring out what to do in the meantime. If I make this video, I'm being patient for my stocks that are growing right now. While I'm making this video, I'm being patient for the cup that I want to lose some fat. While I'm making this video right now, I'm being patient for some of our portfolio companies to capitalize on the reinvestments that we're making right now.
No wonder my death metal band makes no money. Yeah, because it's not boring. Yeah, that's good.
But I'm making a video. And so what you have to do is that when you stick to the plan, sometimes the best thing you can do is ignore it and let it be, which means that you don't interrupt the compounding process. And there's a famous study that studied patience and impulse control, and there's one big learning that I think all of us can learn from. So there was a test called the marshmallow test. They took little kids and they could put a marshmallow in front of them, and they had to wait 30 minutes, and then they could eat the marshmallow. Now, if they ate the marshmallow during the 30 minutes, they didn't get a second marshmallow. If they were able to wait 30 minutes and not eat the marshmallow, then they would give them a second marshmallow at the end. So they got double the reward simply for waiting 30 minutes. Now, what was interesting is that they studied the difference between the kids who couldn't resist and the ones who could. And obviously, long term, they figured out that the people who could wait and delay gratification are the ones who were more successful. But the strategies that they used to delay was not that they stared at the marshmallow and used their willpower. The kids who were successful did a number of different things. Some of them went to a different side of the room. They just distanced themselves from the marshmallow itself. Some of them started singing songs to themselves. Other of them took the marshmallow and put it in their pocket so they couldn't see it anymore. And so the big thing is that they had the skills to figure out what to do in the meantime. And so the more skilled you are, the
have skills.
more ways you can win. And that's why building skills is so important. And it's so important because it allows you to be patient. It gives you something to do in the meantime while you allow your master plan to come to fruition without thinking that you're smarter than you are to begin with. So this concludes almost the Get Rich or Die Trying section, aka level 3 of wealth building. So let's, oh wait Alex, you left that box.
If you guys aren't all rich within a month of this stream, I'm going to be thoroughly disappointed.
Excellent observation. That brings us to the very last level, which could even be above the levels, the level above the levels, on the business, not in the business, you know what I'm saying. Enjoy your wealth.
Changed and manipulated time, yep.
Let's talk about it. In my opinion, there are really just 2 levels of wealth. Level 1 is that you have all of your personal needs taken care of.
Number 1 is?
You're broke.
Number 2 is?
You're fucking poor.
The second level of wealth is the unlimited level of wealth, which is that you just always want to keep using money to make more money. And that means that you've progressed from solving your personal needs to playing a game. And so I think what a lot of people do is they can never figure out what enough is for them. And there was a period of my life earlier on where I was like, okay, let me figure out all these rich people things. I bought a Bentley. I was like, let's go out to all the nicest restaurants every single night. But the thing is that to live like the 1%, it's actually not that expensive. If you fly private, it costs about $50,000 per month. If you want to eat out every night of the week at the nicest restaurants, $500 dinners every single night, it's $15,000 a month. If you wanted to, let's say, lease a Lamborghini or something, payments are probably $5,000 a month, right? On top of that, let's say you want to go and buy designer clothing. So that's another $15,000 per month. Let's say you spend $5,000 a month on a nutritionist and another $5,000 a month on therapy and performance coaching, whatever. All right, let's just call it a cool $100,000 per month.
And then realistically, you can cut that in half if you go to a country like Thailand or something and you do it there, where your currency is arbitraged.
Of expenses. Oh, we forgot where we live. Let's live somewhere balling. Let's put another $50,000 a month on here. So $150,000 a month is just under $2 million a year in income. Now that's after tax, right? So maybe closer to $4 million a year in income. Now that's a good amount of money. It's actually not a lot in the massive scheme of things. And what I mean is that you can ball out all the way balls to the wall for the rest of your life on this level of income. What I would encourage you to do is actually figure out what is good for me. Maybe it's worth it to taste these things and see which of them you actually enjoy. And I think it was really dumb for me to buy the Bentley and realize I didn't care. And then I gave it back 6 months later. I sold it back at a loss. And so I think the big TLDR here is that you need to figure out what your personal dream list is. And a lot of people have these huge goals like, I want to be a millionaire. It's like, why?
If I'm not living like this within 1 year, mark my words, y'all, it's going to be bad for everybody watching this. We're going to be...
What you were about to witness is real.
You're going to feel the lawsuit anxiety the way I do.
Because you can just make this for the rest of your life and ball out. But real, you can probably live incredibly comfortably on $50,000 a month. Like
Patrick Bet-David versus Alex Hormozi numbers battle. Patrick wins every time. Alex says numbers that are way too small. Patrick would be like 50 billion, 100 billion, $2 trillion. He loves the big numbers.
Still, 1% living, unbelievable wealth looking stuff for $50,000 a month after taxes. So I think if you put, what does food look like, right? What does travel look like? What does clothing look like? What does experiences look like? What does health look like? And you start putting an actual number to it, you realize that what you actually need to satisfy your personal needs are significantly less than you originally thought. And so that brings me to the next level of this, which is the game itself. Now there's a reason that my podcast is called The Game. And it's because at this point, I play the game because I enjoy the game. And
the game? Red rose, white ceiling.
So the whole concept of enjoying your wealth is not about not working. And I think this is one of the big myths. You might feel that way now because you hate what you do. And the fact that you hate what you do is one of the reasons you might not ever get the wealth you want. And so it's not about not working. It's about getting addicted.
Get addicted to the game.
And freedom, again, doesn't mean you don't work. It means you have the option to work. And so I believe that humans are our best when we do work that's worth doing, when we have purpose that we derive from the effort and the toil that we put in every day. And you get weaker when you don't have an opposing force that's as strong as you. If you lift weights and you never lift even close to your maximum, you eventually start losing muscle. And I think it's the same thing with mental strength. Unless you're continually raising the bar, you eventually atrophy. It's use it or lose it. And so most of us want to become the best versions of ourselves. And in order to become the best versions of ourselves, we have to increase the difficulty of the level that we're playing on. Imagine playing a game that you beat 100 times and then you put it on the easiest level. It gets boring. We think we want easier, but we don't. We want to do things that we enjoy more. And enjoyment and easy are not necessarily the same thing. And so if we're trying to enjoy our wealth, it's finding the things that we can lose ourselves in for the rest of our lives. And being okay with the fact that that thing may shift over time in terms of what it looks like or what it feels like. And if you fast forward all the way to the end of the movie, as a reminder, you die, and you can't take any of it with you. And so even if you finish your life with this big pile of money at the end, you still have to push it over the edge of the cliff, right, where it just falls off to other people whose hands are here because you're dead. And so reminding myself of that fact every single day reminds me that the whole point of the game is to play the game. And by playing the game, we win the game. Because the best games in life, and I'll finish with this, the best games in life are infinite games, not finite games. And I'll tell you the difference. The point isn't to get married, the point is to stay married. When it comes to business, the point isn't to win at business. The point is to stay in business and literally keep playing. And so when we think about the greatest games that we play as humans, we have to take this infinite frame.
Fast forward 10 years, you're toast. Man, this is crazy. We did talk about his girlfriend's voice in the last Alex Hormozi stream.
Or we fool ourselves into a false finite prison that we keep wondering why we don't feel like we're winning when we get to the finish line, because we never realized that there wasn't a finish line to begin with, and the fact that we were playing the game secured our victory by its very nature. And so this realization helped me reframe how I thought about spending my time so that I could enjoy my wealth. The point for me is to stay in business and see who I can become in this process. The point is for me to see, what does it look like at 20 years of marriage? With health, it's not that like, cool, I've been training for 20 years. I'm in decent shape. I wonder what it looks like when I'm healthy at 50. Because if you're only in shape for 6 weeks of your life, or 6 months of your life, or even 6 years of your life, who cares? If you only have a good marriage for a few years of your life, who cares? If you're only in business and then go out of business really quickly and then you get out of the game, who cares? And which is why the biggest takeaway that you can have, and this is from Winston Churchill, you win as long as you never quit. And so, that's how you enjoy your life and your wealth, and there's your blueprint.
Up here, so just one thing to think about will save you.
Fuck me. It's so funny. He has a video. He has a video called that's recommended at the end called "How to Get So Rich That It Makes You Sick." But he also has he also has another video. Makes here. Where is it? Sick. Where is it, motherfucker? Yeah. Alex, hold on. We gotta check this first.
Check. Red like gang when you feeling. Nobody, no casket, just blood. Check. Red rose, white ceiling. Nobody, no casket, just blood spilling. I ain't a dead president, but I love millions. They like gang where you been. Yeah, blood chilling. Black Wall Street, the building, Cosmic Cat, Philly. What up? Look. Red rose, white ceiling. Nobody, no casket, just blood spilling. I ain't a dead president, but I love millions. They like gang where you been. Shit, blood chilling.
Put this shit on YouTube or World Star, wherever the fuck niggas be putting shit. Check it out. Red rose, white ceiling. Nobody, no casket, just blood spilling. I ain't the dead president, but I love millions. They like gang where you been. Shit, blood chilling. Red rose, white ceiling. Nobody, no casket, just blood spilling. Hey yo, red rose, white ceiling. I'm in the rapping mood. Anybody can rap. Anybody want to, challenge me? You
got a lot of red on. It's gonna be hot, but I don't from the streets though, cause I ain't gonna get shot.
You ain't have to come at me like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Now it's my turn. I ain't freestyling a minute. You know what I'm saying? I'm polish my skills off. Let me see what I can come up with. You want me to just go at you, or you want me to just spit? Whoa! Whoa! No, my man, cool. So I'm gonna spit, man. Let me see. Let's check it. Look, red rose, white ceiling. I'm in that red rose, white ceiling.
All right, listen, man. We do breakfast bars. We're gonna shoot you some topics. Yeah. You freestyle. Is that cool?
I'll do what I can, man. We got topics, or we just?
I'm gonna throw some topics at you and then just go for it, man. Go crazy. The game is here. The all-new Cruise Shell, Power 106. Your first topic.
It don't matter what the beat is. Red rose, white ceiling all day.
Because the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I be rocking my Kobe's, I be in a red rose, white.
The prompt was Kobe Bryant, and he was trying to find a way to fake act like it's off the top. Yeah, when I'm wearing my Kobe's, I'm in the red rose white ceiling. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Alex Hormozi, How to Get So Rich. He has a couple of videos with this title. How to Get So Rich. You question the meaning of making money. Where was the one? How to Get So Rich, It Makes You Sick. How to Get So Rich, You Realize Money Has No Meaning. I mean, how could you possibly be giving new advice in each of these? This is what I mean. These are long form ads. It's like aspiration porn, you know? It's like people are watching this. He even said in one of his videos I watched, he was like, the definition of learning is taking in new information and applying it. And if you don't apply it, then you didn't learn. You were just entertaining yourself. Well, how do you then explain, Alex, you doing all of these videos? Like, look at this, 51 minutes, 1 hour and 10 minutes, 1 hour and 5 minutes, 1 hour and 4 minutes, and they all have a similar topic. No BS advice to get rich. How to get so rich, money has no meaning. I mean, how many... it's slop. I'm confident in saying that it's slop. How many diagrams and graphs and fucking boxes with an arrow pointing into another box are you going to write on a piece of white paper with some example, some made up example or, you know, case study, anecdotal case study, you know? I don't know, bro. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Fuck me. Can't believe you've done this. It's just too much. Like, watch. Let me just be fair. Let me go to a random moment in one of these videos, okay? Here, put this away. Okay, here, this one says, put your damn phone away. So I'm guessing a couple of minutes of this hour and 4 minutes is at least going to be about minimizing distractions. Here's what we had in that last video, by the way. By the way, what is a millionaire? Specialize, don't give up, do it right, supply and demand, know who to sell to, pay yourself, get rich once, create a bouquet, create goodwill, multiply by 0 equals 0, boring makes you rich, develop skills, and get addicted to freedom. Simple, guys.
When I was 27, I had just over $1 million in my bank account in cash. By the time I was 29, I had over 20. Responding to emails, basically.
Then why the fuck are you doing this YouTube video? I swear to God, you guys, I love you. I love the goons. But y'all better hope I never make $10 million. Y'all better hope I never make $20 million. Because I'm going to be out. I don't even make any, bones about it. I'm telling you right now, 10 mil, I'm out. 10 mil, I'm actually going to do the thing that they say in the fake gurus say in the reels, where they're like, just start with 36 rental units. I'm actually going to be on some Grant Cardone shit. Start with 36 rentals, flip them. I'll be like, all right, bet. 10 million? Dude, why would I even risk being on YouTube when I have $10 million? Why would I even risk it? The lawsuits, the whatever. I'm gonna turn into fucking Smaug from The Hobbit as soon as if I get that money. You know who that is? That's this guy. This evil dragon hoarding his gold. That's gonna be me. Scrooge McDuck swimming in the money. That's gonna be me.
I crossed $100 million in net worth at age 31. I'm 35, significantly higher than that now. And I have the privilege of talking to lots of people who are at $1 billion plus. And so in this...
So nonchalant. Yeah, I had $100 million. It's a lot more than that now. Leave me alone then. Then why do you need me? Then why do you need me to buy your book for $22? Let's check the description. Download your free scaling roadmap, okay? The easiest way I can help you start your business, open a school community, join a workshop, buy the book. I mean,
there's always dinner, things like that afterwards, and it ends at 9. And that's where you have to be on, not just at the office, not just on it, which you rarely do, because it usually lasts less than 20. Sometimes it's just 5. It'll just go away. And the same thing happens with focus, but we then for them to see me. And people are then like, I wouldn't make that trade. Fine, but don't want what he has. Is that she heard this from a mentor. She said, if it's a 5-minute task and you have 5 minutes, do it now. And so the amount of times where I'm like, hey, we should do this thing, and then literally in 60 seconds it's handled by Layla, like while I'm just walking around talking, just like shooting ideas out there, is baffling. growing pains, not growing joys.
I mean, he's not pushing an MLM. He's not selling a course, I guess. But replace course that you download online with book. I guess books look more legit, I suppose. And I'm not saying he doesn't have good advice. My whole thing is like, why are you teaching others? I don't know. You either die a goon or you sell out long enough to buy a mansion with Jessica Alba and Mrs. Incredible. So true. First thing you got to do is switch up on the day ones. 100%. 100%. 10, 30, 50, 100 million. Yeah. You know. It's sort of like the reverse of what I felt when I was in university. I went to Grant McEwen University for 1 year back in 2015 after I graduated high school. And there was a marketing professor I had. He was this older Indian gentleman. And he was like, he was always joking about how he was poor. He was like, and now, I remember one time specific, he's like, and now look at me, a poor professor. Huh? What do you mean, dog? You're supposed to be teaching me how to market some shit and get some bread. If you know, why are you doing this? The coach don't play, as they say. But it just didn't make it. This Alex Hormozi thing is sort of the reverse of that. It's like, hey, professor, if you know how to do it, why aren't you doing it? And with Alex, it's sort of like he's doing it, but also, why? You know, why? Big money has the tendency to gollum up your Smeagol. So true. So true. Let's check out this Trump Mamdani thing. I'd be the sickest political streamer, I swear to God. Get that neck. It's so weird to think Mamdani's like 5 years older than me.
Well, thank you very much. We've just had a great meeting, a really good, very productive.
Such a great meeting. You look at the meeting, it's such a tremendous meeting what they're doing, and you look at Biden, Sleepy Joe, Crooked Joe Biden, right? He doesn't do meetings.
Meeting. We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against,
Great meeting, city doing well, incredible campaign.
a lot of smart people.
A lot of smart people.
Starting with the early primaries against some very tough people.
Very tough people. Guys, come on. Stay with me now.
Smart people. And he beat them easily. And
Beat him so easily. He beat them, and it was so easy, frankly. Look at how he beat them. He beat them so badly. There.
I congratulated him. And we talked.
I congratulated him. I congratulate him so bigly. It was such a congratulations. I know a lot of people that congratulate people. They say, Donald, sir, Mr. President, that was the best congratulations I've ever seen. It's so true.
Talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built and food and prices, and the price of oil is coming way down. Anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, it's good for New York. And we've got them down, way down from last year. We have, as you know, I've been saying to a lot of people, Walmart said that Thanksgiving this year is exactly 25% less than last year. So that's good for New York, good for everybody. But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have, hopefully, a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am, I will say. There's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate
So true.
I appreciated the meeting with the president, and as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City. and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the President, I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Such a great speech. You look at his speech. It was one of the best speeches.
President Trump, Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I've got a question for you and then also one for the mayor-elect.
Sure.
For you, you referred to Mr. Mamdani as a communist. Can you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York?
Well, we didn't discuss your second part of the question, and on your first part, I mean, he's got views that are a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I change a lot. From...
Nobody changes like me, frankly. I change so much. Nobody's changed so much. Such a big change. Tremendous change, frankly. Great change. You look at change. So Donald is talking about change, right? Okay. So I'm looking at it, Kay. People keep telling me I have to do the nose flare thing where, like, he takes a deep breath and flares out his nose. He's like, okay. So I'm looking at Donald Trump. He's in the White House with Mamdani. That's number one. Okay. Conversation. They're having a conversation about this, that, $10 million, $100 million, billions. Then Trump get on there. Great meeting. Such a great meeting.
When I first came to office, it's now quite a while.
Yeah, let's go to the fascist part.
He just says that they're a city that endorses
Deliver on that affordability agenda.
characterize.
See, I use the term, we don't want good money going after bad, and we just...
Let me find the part.
Neighborhood's not a description of intent.
I think he's... I want him to do a great job.
It's weird how nice Trump is being. I really wonder what's behind it. Maybe Mamdani finally got into the mayor's seat, and then he walked into a room, and it was like, you know, like eyes wide shut. He walked into some Illuminati meeting, and everybody had masks on, and it was like Oprah and Tom Cruise and Donald Trump and Dwayne Johnson, and they're all naked, and they're standing there, and Mamdani walks in, and Trump's like, well, Mamdani, you look at him. You look at what he's doing. He came in. He won. He wants to be part of politics, right? That's okay, right? He came in so strongly, so hot. They say it's very hot, right? And he won. He won so bigly. He beat Cuomo. I never liked Cuomo. And he came in and he won. Well, now, Zoran, you're going to learn what it's about. You're going to see how we do things. We do things so different. So you know, maybe he's like, oh, shit, I'm in now.
We'll help him do a great job. You know, he may have different views, but in many ways, you know, we were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people...
DHS called that
about our government funding it, and I shared with the president in our meeting about the concern that many...
I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. You consider yourself the leader of the Democrats? I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City.
It can go great, or it can go in a different...
It can go so great or maybe not so great, frankly. You look at what they're doing. You look at it. When you look, yeah. When you look at it, you think about it.
But
we're taking a look.
But he's different than, you know, your average candidate. Hey, he came out of nowhere. I said he has a great campaign manager standing over there. He came out of nowhere. What'd you start off at 1 or 2? And then I watched. I said, who is this guy? To the best of my knowledge, he's a Democrat. And when the mayor saw that portrait, he said, sir, do you mind if I have a picture taken by that portrait? It's an amazing portrait. I hope the picture...
Why is Trump in such a good mood? Let's see where it is. Somebody surely will have pinged it in the comments. The fascist thing.
Mr. Mamdani, does New York City love President Trump?
New York City loves a future that is affordable, and I can tell you that there were more New Yorkers who voted for President Trump.
Let me find let me look in the fascist. Here, I'll just jump to this video where they say it.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
I appreciate being pushed out, and I...
5, think of that. New York City. I'll convince him. I think he has a chance to do it. Could be
Are you affirming that you think President
Here. There's audio missing.
affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about.
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
An attaboy with the pat really makes me feel unsettled. Just say yes, I'm a fascist. Attaboy. They're there. That scared me. That scares me quite a lot, actually. Oh, God.
Shot my dog, I can't stand.
So yeah, what was the other thing I was gonna talk about? I think I've seen enough, Alex Hormozi. I think I've seen enough. China. I think I get it, right? I think we get it, right? It's easier than explaining. Yeah, no shit. What are y'all saying here in the chat? In the chat does. One product, one channel, one avatar, $1 million. Cool, just sell one magical hot dog to humanity. Have you seen the Chinese Trump impersonator? I think I have. I think so. I think we saw him. We saw him so visibly. He was so visible. Nobody has vision like me. Nobody has eyes like me. You see you look at what they're doing. What an absolute hoot of a time that we're having, aren't we? Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Look at this. There's some useful ideas buried in there, but the guru seasoning is strong. Yeah, I have there's one goon who she was offering to chat about Alex Hormozi. Said hard to defend, but there are some defensible things about him. But I do think there's good things to learn. Some of his stuff has definitely helped me improve my business. Okay, I'm curious to hear like an actual testimonial from someone. And she said she was driving. I wanted to get her on the stream to ask her about her thoughts, but she said she was driving and I haven't heard back from her yet. So I don't want to be that guy that like, this is a guy who keeps everybody on edge, right? They're waiting for, what is he going to say? Is he going to have a guest or not? And nobody shows up to the stream. Okay, let's take that. So number one, nobody shows up. He's talking about it. We're thinking about it, but we don't get an answer. Okay, no problem. Alex loves talking about hot dogs. He was hot dogging in the last one too. But Trump likes winners. Yeah, that's true. So I watched a video talking about how like Trump is Mamdani is like the Trump of the left because he's like this non-politician guy. He's not part of the system. He came in and he shook everything up and he said the unconventional thing, you know, like wasn't it in 2016 when Trump was running the first time, or 2015, there was all the Republican candidates up on stage and they asked like, if you don't win, will you concede to support whoever becomes the president? It was something like that, right? I think where Trump was the only one who didn't raise his hand to stand out. And then obviously the Mamdani thing, when they were asking like, where would your first trip be? Where would your first trip be if you became the mayor? Oh, look. No way. No way. Is this real? Oh, God. For fuck me. I can't believe that. Sorry, spoiler alert. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. I'm going to bring up on screen one of the worst people of all time because I just saw this pop up here. Where the fuck is it? Yeah, here. All right, here we go, y'all. One of the worst people ever, Alan Dershowitz.
Mamdani needs to be kept in check.
We ought to put together a legal team, I'm happy to be on it, to challenge Mamdani if he tries to end the Israel Day Parade, if he tries to cut off funding to Jewish groups, if he does anything that reflects his horrible anti-Israel and, in my view, anti-Semitic bias. We have to fight back. We have to be ready to take him to court. at every turn and make sure that he can't get away with anything. I'm also defending Bibi Netanyahu. And if he were to come to New York, as he will in September, I will be at his side. And if Mamdani wants to have him arrested, he's going to have to go to me, and we're going to file countersuits against Mamdani because he has no power as the mayor of New York to arrest a person who comes as a diplomat to the United States to speak at the United Nations.
Reminder that this guy was also Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. Yay! Epstein did nothing wrong, of course. There was no list. Nothing happened. Don't worry about it. Oh, Alan. Oh, Alan. Alan Dershowitz, the same guy who ran a campaign against Norman Finkelstein so aggressive that it prevented Norman Finkelstein from ever being able to get hired as a professor at a university or ever become a tenured professor. You love to see it. You love to see how in the twilight of their lives, good is prevailing over evil. And Norman Finkelstein is bigger than he's ever been. Look at this. 3 weeks ago, Norman Finkelstein sat down with Candace Owens on her show. And it was absolutely, went absolutely viral. Where is it? Wrong button. That's the one. Oh, it's so viral. 3 weeks, 2 million views in 3 weeks. Goodness gracious. 1 month ago, a speech, you know, I watched the whole thing at UMass, University of Massachusetts, 280K views. I mean, this guy's just bodying y'all. He's bodying y'all now. You know? But they tried to take him out. They tried to silence him and unperson him, and they were successful. He gave up. He said many times in his interviews that he had given up. By 2020, he had given up writing about Gaza and Palestine, and he had moved on to different topics. He wrote a book about cancel culture, and then boom, October 7th, his books are now in high demand. I'm sure he's getting offers to speak, and you know, he deserves it. I hope that he is getting all of the recognition and money and whatever else that he missed out on for all of these years while Alan Dershowitz was living the high life, you know. Alan Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz, am I right, y'all? Come on now. Give me something. Bibi Netanyahu. He's talking about Netanyahu. I'll defend Netanyahu. I'll defend Jeffrey Epstein. It's like at some point, how do you not just like lower your head and stay out the way? It's really crazy, isn't it? All right, what are we looking at? We're looking at 2 hours 17 minutes. Okay, no problem. I'm not mad at that. My Nintendo reel's still going crazy, or short, I guess, about Nintendo Super Mario Galaxy being charged. Look at this. Can you believe this? If I pull it up, would you believe it, even if I showed you it right before your eyes? Look at this. My most viewed... I don't know where the see, I've sorted by most popular, but it's obviously out of order, because this one has 86K views, but is listed 4th. This one about Nintendo, 152K views. How wild is it that in my 6 years on YouTube, this is the first time I've ever had a short crack 100K views. But, you know, I've had long-form videos do that many times, several hundreds of thousands of views. And on TikTok, I've been able to get millions of views. On Instagram Shorts or Instagram Reels, I've been able to get hundreds of thousands of views. Make it make sense there. Make it make sense. Can you cover the YouTube clothing entrepreneurs? Like, how do you mean? Like, what do you mean clothing entrepreneurs? Like people who are like starting clothing brands and shit? Comment with almost 1K likes. Nice. Oh, on my video, you've had a comment. You got a comment on there with almost 1K likes. Yeah. Well, that's what you get. Stay committed to the cult, and you'll see the spoils. The rewards will compound. Marco Gaming PC win. The Twitch streaming is an arc I didn't expect. Honestly, I never had good success with streaming gaming. I've done it a couple times on my YouTube channel, and back in 2022, 2023. Actually, when did my cousin Gabby build me that PC? That was like 2020. But from 2021 to 2023, I did all my editing and all of my like everything on a desktop PC, like a tower that he built. And I was gaming on there too. Honestly, I miss those days. COVID, you know, everybody's at home. We just fire up the old Call of Duty Warzone, and it was free to play, and you're just chilling with your goons. I love those times, and we'll never get them back, unfortunately. But yeah, I really do miss that. But the gaming never really went crazy, to be honest. I found it hard to like focus on a game and also the chat and also whatever's going on in my head. Whereas just streaming, like reacting to videos or just talking makes things a lot easier. People in it. Oh God. I was really a young Ute once, wasn't I? There's a lot I would have done different if I could go back in time, even 4 years. It's crazy. I wouldn't say I have regrets, but I definitely would have did certain things different, for surely. For sure. But keep going, keep growing. Oh, Specs, I know. It's okay, Specs. The Nintendo Cyber deals for the holidays have been scrutinized intensely because they sucked. So funny. What's the, this is a really good video. I thank Benjamin for showing me it. It's called Stop Defending Nintendo. This is a great video. I honestly want to do a whole stream just reacting to this video because I think it's that good. Showing like all the questionable, potentially anti-consumer stuff. I mean, in my opinion, it's anti-consumer, but this is such a great video. I think we should do a stream about it. If y'all are down for something like that. It's not MLM related, but you know, it doesn't have to be. I've had content do great that wasn't about MLM. I have a new video coming out, which is like an undercover hidden camera investigation about Indian psychics in my city. So I'm excited for that one. But yeah, that's all I've got for y'all tonight. I don't want to keep you. I don't want to keep you from doom scrolling on TikTok, you know? How could I? It would be wrong of me, wouldn't it? So I have to go eat, and I have some more work I need to do before the night is done, and I need to make sure I actually get to bed at a reasonable time tonight because I've been not doing that, and I need to just take initiative and just fix up, seriously. So, but you hate to see me go when there's still nearly 100 people watching, but that's what they say, keep them wanting more. If you donate if you're watching this on the replay and you've donated after the stream has ended or bought merch, thank you so much in advance. Usually when people do that, if their email is like, you know, if it's like a PayPal donation and I see their email, I'll send them an email like directly at like off stream and be like, yo, thank you. Because sometimes that does happen and it means a lot. So thank you, Brandon C, for holding it down with the big bags. You know, it's not every day that it happens, but when it does, you know, it means a lot. So thank you, Brandon C, Chris, Anonymous. That was it, actually, in terms of the Streamlabs donos. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But thank you, guys. Everybody who's ever supported, watches, likes. You know, I've been on a mad thing recently with the uploading. The new multi-level misery video is kind of getting slept on, but I thought it was really, really good with Sean. If you guys haven't seen that, go watch it. It was out early for all the channel members if you want to be a channel member as well. Look how I've been dropping this. 1 day ago, 10 days ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 1 month ago, 2 months ago. I've been pretty consistent, honestly, and I have more like in progress. I have another one that's basically done about Big Pyramid that needs to drop. About them accusing me of or implying anti-Semitism in my speech last year at the MLM conference to try to discredit and disparage the conference. I've got the Indian psychic video. I've got the Amway Larry Winters video stream that we did here last few days ago that I'm going to cut down to a video. Yeah. Can't believe you've done this. Can't wait. Can't wait. Keep going. Keep sticking it out. I also think I should do a video about Herbalife. I think that's an MLM that is big enough in name and popularity, and the allegations against it are so widely known, and the prosecutions against it, like the FTC case, it's so widely known that I think I could pretty well do a hidden camera investigation about Herbalife without much worry. But I don't know. We'll see. I think I could do a really good video about Herbalife, though. But I have so many ideas and so many ideas, so little time, and so many things that I still need to finish behind the scenes that are just like boring, not things you would ever see on YouTube, like the free guide with the website, getting that sorted. Right now I'm going through it, dealing with hiring a new bookkeeper and CPA and getting my taxes caught up and lawsuit stuff. I have so much stuff that's just like busy work. Not busy work, it's important, but it's like stuff that just keeps me away from doing what I actually should be focused on, which is just making videos. And that's part of the plan as well. You know, that's, as they say, the process is the punishment. They want me to go through this. They want me to be losing time to writing up arguments and lawsuits. They want me to be losing time when I could be filming and editing stuff. You know, they want me to be losing money to clear my name against baseless bullshit just because they can afford it. So, yeah. Have specific upload days and stick to them. The algorithm loves that. Does it? Jerusalem Artichoke, are you a YouTuber? I'm curious. No. You have one community post on your page that says meow. But all good. Shock my dog, I can't stop. Cheers to the commune. Thank you, Benjamin. You're a real legend. Join the Discord if you guys want to stay up to date, stay in touch with the goons. You could never come close to covering MLM. So widespread and so fucked up. So true. So true. So true. All right. Thank you, guys. We did it. Another one in the can. I think I've made up my mind about Alex Hormozi also. That's all. That's really all that matters, isn't it? Go watch the new Multi-Level Misery. Don't betray me. All right, y'all. Peace. Yes, Jerusalem, that is widely said. I've never noticed the difference one way or another. For me, I've always noticed the most views when I put like the most effort into promoting a video, or when it's like a genuinely really good video that I put my heart and soul into. But yeah, appreciate y'all.
Marco.